is where the fun begins. I am a Jedi.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
Chewie, get us out of here!
Oh my!
To my Masonic brother, Ray Thorne.
Ray Thorne.
Unfortunately, Ray Thorne, Masonic brother of mine, obviously alluded to that. He passed away this past week suddenly.
Yeah.
This guy, just a very giving individual of his time. I've known him for about 20 years. Those who don't know already, I'm looking over there, like the camera's over there, but those who don't know already, I'm a Freemason. I'm fairly active in that. My son was in an organization called DMLA, and Ray Thorne was very active in the chapter. He was a senior DMLA, and just very, very giving of his time, and just a genuinely good individual. I bring him up specifically on the podcast because about 10 days ago, last time I had actually saw him, he had come to me and asked me, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to be Master of the Lodge next year." I was like, "Oh, congratulations."
Mm-hmm.
And he had been Master of his Lodge before. And he said, we have a thing called a table lodge, where it's basically like you have it's a big get together. You have a big formal dinner. It's just like a 7-course thing, and you do toasting throughout the thing, and then you have there's a presenter during the dinner, usually after. And his happened to be on May the 4th. So he came to me and he asked me if I would do a presentation, Star Wars related,
Right.
And kind of bringing Masonry, like trying to find some way to connect Masonry and Star Wars. But
I'm
really,
sure you could draw some lines.
right? It was just an excuse to really kind of let me come in and talk about Star Wars,
Sure,
in
yeah.
the lodge, because he knew my passion for it. So again, Ray, he passed suddenly, but he had a great life and he touched a lot of people. So along those lines, it's kind of today they were taping. It's Monday, the 2nd of October.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happening today.
Yeah.
We woke up this morning with the news of what happened in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I didn't even know about it when I left the house this morning. I didn't know until I walked into work and somebody had the news on already. And then I see 50 dead, 400 injured in Las Vegas. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and politics, drawing conclusions and everything, aside, you feel for everyone involved. I know you were saying just off air how Bakersfield, there was your hometown had a large representation there.
Yeah, because I'm from Bakersfield, California, and they call it like the country music capital of the West Coast, because Buck Owens, if you've heard of him, he's from Bakersfield. A lot of country music roots in Bakersfield, and a lot of fans there. Obviously, my whole family, they are all just country music lovers. I listened to almost nothing exclusively about country music growing up when I was around my mom or any of her family. But yeah, come to find out, somebody I went to high school with had a daughter that was there, and she was one of the people that got shot. So it's like a lot of connections from my hometown. Some people from my hometown were killed there. We're part of the people that died. So it really does kind of, even though I'm here on the East Coast now, it does kind of hit close to home for me. Even though I'm not a huge country music person now, it's, we're all human beings, and that's really what this kind of boils down to.
Yeah, and there's listen, one thing, I have to steal it from a podcast that I listened to, a fantasy football podcast, the Fantasy Focus, the 06010 podcast. I'll steal this from them, and they started with it today. This is for entertainment. we're speaking about it now because it's something that's obviously happening in the world, and we're sensitive to it, obviously. But we're hoping that you're listening to us, and we're gonna talk about Star Wars. We're gonna finally conclude the Aftermath
Yes.
series. Just stealing some of Jason's thunder in a second, but
Not a problem.
our job right now is to provide some entertainment, provide some relief from what's just sickening in the news, and hopefully if you can listen to us for what's probably going to end up being at least 90 minutes today, maybe more.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long one.
If we can bring you some entertainment and you can forget about what's going on in the world, then we're doing our jobs, and that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, I just want to say too, like I said, we're all human beings. Whatever it is, we don't know anything about this suspect right now, what his motivations were, all that. But people snap like this sometimes, or people are persuaded by an ideology, and I don't care what it is, what you believe in, what side of the political aisle you're on. Nothing is worth killing another innocent human being over. And I think that's the pervading message here. It's like, I blame a lot of the media out there, and the media on every side, Fox News and CNN, the ones that kind of, they build up these stories and they intentionally pit people against each other, pit ideologies against each other. And you see the state that we're in this country right now, where it's like this group over here is yelling at this group over here because you're this and you're that. And I don't know what the solution is or how we're going to do it, but I mean, we need to start kind of brushing off all that bullshit and get back to being just Americans who go about our daily lives and aren't persuaded one way or the other by all of this fucking horse shit that's going on TV every single fucking day. Because again, these 50 people, or really 550 people if you count the injured, they were just going to a music concert. That's what it boils down to. They were just going out having a good time, and some fucking asshole decides he's going to end these innocent lives, people with families, people with parents, children, brothers and sisters, friends. It was a terrible, selfish act by a fucking worthless piece of shit who I hope rots in hell. And I hope somehow we can all find a way to start moving past all of this animosity that's out there right now.
Yeah, But at least there's Star Wars.
There is, yes.
But at least there's Star Wars.
And
so
we've got good political intrigue coming up in today's episode as well.
Yeah, ironically enough, what we're getting into today in some of the books is the stuff that Jason's just been gushing to talk about after he finally read the fucking books.
Yeah, of course, what the problem is now is it's been so long since I've read these, a lot of the details are slowly starting to drain from my memory.
Well, exactly. That's why if you were watching on Instagram Live, and Dave's watching some YouTube video about some of the things, because I read this shit 6 months ago, if not more.
Well, fuck, Life Debt's been out for over a year now, right?
Oh yeah, so that's I'm lucky I can remember what the book looks like.
Just remember Wookiee's holiday special,
That's a horrible way to.
You didn't think about the holiday special the whole time you were reading about Kashyyyk and.
Listen, my. You know what? I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, because that's coming.
Check that thing out.
This is exclusively for the video audience.
So round.
All right, so do you want to get ready and
let's
roll
go?
into this episode?
Let's do this. Let's bring you up.
All right, so let's start in our week in Star Wars. First of all, the two of us have a mutual week in Star Wars this week because over the weekend we played a lot of Battlefront 1 together.
We did.
We talked about it a little bit in previous episodes about how we played a little and we're trying to get together and do some more. Well, I stole back my headset from my kids and we... You all right over there?
Nope.
Yep,
we're fine.
Is there any rum in that Coke this week?
I wish there was.
All right. So... Yeah, so we played a lot of Battlefront this weekend, at least a few hours worth, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
The couple of different play sessions we had together, and it was fun. And it just makes me sad that we didn't do this, 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. Well, timing being what it is.
Yeah,
it's a little bit easier for me now, and probably not that easy for you.
No,
but
it's the complete opposite, actually.
Yeah,
But
it's-
you know what? It is
Hey.
what it is.
Sometimes you got to take advantage of the time where you just sit down and just play fucking video games for, a couple hours.
Yeah.
Because then it's just not.
It's another way to kind of blow off what's going on in the real world.
Not watch real TV.
Yeah.
Just going.
And now you have a better feel for how I am when I play a multiplayer shooter.
Fucking hilarious, man.
I'm sitting here thinking as I'm
Yeah, get it, get it. It's so fucking funny.
I mean, I do that just kind of subconsciously now, but then I'm thinking as we've got the headsets on, I'm like, oh man, he's hearing all of this. All right, I hope he doesn't think I'm weird.
That's okay.
But I talk a lot of shit, mostly just to the TV, because nobody else is around. But
Right.
now that we got the headset going, now
That's
you
okay.
can hear it.
I don't care. I really don't give a shit. I have my. It's what's amazing about as we're talking about Battlefront. Like I'll sit there and I'll just completely zone out as I'm playing because I'm not. You saw I'm not the best player. My aim's not great. My hands don't work very well. So I ironically I used to be better.
Right.
Especially, but you have to have a certain, amount of dexterity with the controller.
Of course, yeah.
And
Especially in a fast-paced shooter like that.
Yeah, so, my hands being shitty, we'll call it old age. Let's just call it old age. Maybe too much Diet Coke, which is probably the real reason.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, my aim isn't as good as it should be, so I get a lot of assists. I got a lot of hit markers and set Jason up for a lot of fucking kills.
Yeah.
If you follow him now on Instagram.
Yes. At Darth Roscom. And I'm Darth Roscom on everything. I'm on Instagram, Twitter as Darth Roscom, even on the Xbox. If you're an Xbox One guy, search me for Darth Roscom, and I'm right.
Yeah, same with me.
Right
I'm Philly Dave 75 on across the board.
Yeah.
So it's not Star Wars related. I know that, but I'm a Philly guy, so deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of who we are, so it's a package deal.
That's right.
The Star Wars and Dave and Jason. So, but yeah, no, I think we make a great team because you are a much more conservative player, I've noticed.
Yes.
You like to kind of hang back, pick your spots and everything, where I'm just more fucking, kill him, motherfucker.
Yeah. I'm horrible playing Call of Duty and shit like that too, because my favorite games on the PlayStation were SOCOM.
Oh yeah.
That was when SOCOM games were out. SOCOM was all about how sneaky you could be, sneaking up on enemies and everything else. So that's I developed my first person shooter skills playing that game.
Yeah.
And then you're in Call of Duty where people are just fucking running around like goddamn lunatics.
Yep.
Where's the strategy in this? It was the same thing playing Battlefield.
Oh yeah.
Those games. You got just people just doing
Yeah,
crazy
you're
nonsense.
just throwing waves of people.
Yeah, where's your strategy? Where's your? Come on.
And I feel like Battlefront has a little more strategic element than those.
Sure, there's
Call of Duties.
There's places where you can you absolutely can take the high ground and you can do certain things. So, yeah, strategy notwithstanding, we could talk. We have to do a Battlefront episode.
So,
we
yeah,
can talk about this for a while. But yeah, we definitely got a chance to play together, and it'll be more of that. Hopefully,
as the beta starts here in 2 days for
Yeah.
Battlefront 2. Did you watch the fucking thing that I put on?
absolutely,
our Facebook?
I did.
All right, so
I don't even have. You don't have to simulate the crickets because they're right there. They're outside.
So EA released a full cutscene from Battlefront 2 for the single player portion. It's the scene where Aiden is talking to her father and the messenger droid, or the Sentinels, I think they're called, is the official name for it. But anyway, the messenger droid with the emperor face and all that bullshit came up and gave them the message and said, you will do this, this, and this, and all that. So it was just that full cutscene that they released, which it was very, very cool. It got me really excited.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I forgot. I brought it up while we were getting ready to play, and you're like, "You can't watch it now. We're playing." I'm like, and then I bet you it's queued up on my phone.
It's
right
2
now.
minutes long, and I told him about this 5 days ago,
You're
and he can't seem to.
whatever. You got to catch me in the moment.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's gone.
Apparently. All right. So, do you want to start off with your week in Star Wars, or should I go?
My week in Star Wars consisted of really playing Xbox with you, playing some Battlefront. It was my daughter Kate's birthday, yesterday, October 1st. So she turned 18. So happy birthday, Kate. I think I gave her a happy birthday preemptively the last
kind of
episode
a pre-happy
too.
birthday just in case.
Yeah. So
kind of thing.
anyway, happy birthday, Kate.
So she's a fiscal year baby. October 1st, new fiscal year.
She is, and it is actually the same. I started at the unit that day. I missed my first day of work because my daughter was being born.
That's hilarious.
At the unit, yeah.
Nice.
So this is why we're taping on a Monday, as opposed to our usual Sunday taping. Yeah. We apologize to the. You know what? You fuckers aren't going to know.
Yeah,
you don't know when
you're going to get the show on the same day, regardless.
Yeah, it's going to come out at the same time. It's just weird for us.
Yes.
If we're a little bit off, it's because we were at work all fucking day. It wasn't a Sunday where we're like prepped all weekend to do the taping, which is usually what would happen. You have a couple days to all right, let me get into it. I'll drive over here, listen to some Star Wars. Instead, I'm still trying to fucking my fantasy football lineup's all dicked up, so I'm listening to shit like that. So anyway.
Yeah, so basically, I left work today, got in my car, drove home, got out of my car, and Dave was already right there. So I'm like, all right, let's open up the studio. And
I did the same thing. Like, all right, let's go, let's get this done.
Yeah. Saw my kids for like a minute. So these are the sacrifices we make for you people.
Yep. Saw the kids, pet the dogs.
All right. So I got a few things. First of all, I mentioned it last week. My father came to visit from California. I don't get to see him very often, once every couple of years.
Right.
But we found a new thing to bond over. I didn't realize my father was a big like Goodwill thrift store kind of person, but apparently he is. All of his clothes, he only gets like Goodwill clothes.
Nice.
He prides himself on it. So
right.
I'm like, all right, right on. So we did some thrift store shopping while he was here, while I was off work. So only picked up a couple things. One of them's really good. The other one's kind of but I'll show you anyway. This is the This is the Angry Birds Star Wars Jenga game.
That's fucking awesome. I didn't know they made a Jenga game.
Yes. So we're already combining Angry Birds and Star Wars, and now we're also throwing Jenga into the mix. So this is a 3-way hybrid of...
Jesus Christ.
And really, the reason I got it, I guess apparently the basic of the game is you get your pieces and you launch them at this fucking Death Star type contraption.
All right.
But I just want the pieces. I just want the Darth Vader, the Stormtrooper, and the little X-Wing pilot figures.
That's very great. I don't know if video audience can see this shit.
But it looks complete. It's very heavy, so I would imagine most of the shit's in there. But I saw that, $1.99 at Goodwill. Like, all right, I'll pick that up.
That's fucking great.
If it had been any more than that, I probably would have had second thoughts. Yeah. But for $2, come on. If nothing else, it's a good decoration for the studio.
This product is shown in a fantasy situation. Apparently, they're not really going to fly and explode like that. They had to. Like, that's how ridiculous some things are.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool, especially for $1.99.
Yeah, so I mean, I figure, fuck it, $2. I'm not going to miss that. So now the other thing I got was really cool. Same Goodwill too. I don't normally pay a lot of money for shit at Goodwills, thrift stores, and whatnot because fucking why would you, right? It's a Goodwill. Right. This thing that I found was actually $10, and I'm like, ew. Is that really worth it? If
you're spending $10 at Goodwill, you're usually coming home with a couch.
Yeah, exactly. So what it was it was a book, and I will show it to you. And I'm going to let you flip through this. And this is Star Wars Year by Year, a visual chronicle. $10 at Goodwill.
I've seen this.
So I saw this behind the counter. It was like in their little glass fucking case. Right. I'm like, $10. Can I look at that? And she let me thumb through it. And I'm like, after thumbing through it, oh yeah, I'm getting this thing. So check this shit out. So this starts going back to the beginning, like the Ralph McQuarrie stuff.
Right.
So starts off, it goes through each year, going all the way back to 73, talking about like Lucas's first thoughts about the movie, some of his inspiration and all that, THX 1138. But as you flip through more and more, you see more and more stuff like the getting ready of the prequels, the release dates of certain video games.
Oh, TIE Fighter.
There's like the Lego Star Wars stuff being introduced. Like A Bug's Life because it was related because I think of because of like the Pixar connection or ILM or something. When certain comic books were released, when certain toys were released, some Lego shit in the back. I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's a lot of different Darth Vader helmets.
Yeah, so like when certain books were released. Now this only goes up to like 2009, I think, so before the buyout.
Yeah.
So it's all like Legends material, but there was so much good shit in here. When I saw all the video game stuff from like especially like the 80s and 90s, I'm like, "Oh, I got to get this just for that stuff." But as you can see, it chronicles everything that happened in Star Wars year by year by year, and it's fucking awesome. You can flip through this if you want. So after thumbing through it, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this. Again, $10 with a 10% military discount at Goodwill.
Nice.
I feel like it was worth it, and I'm actually looking forward to sitting down and actually reading
just
this.
going through it. Yeah, here's all the console stuff.
Yeah, and again, it goes into a lot of stuff. Like one of the pages in here from I think it's 1999 is when Stanley Kubrick died. They do a little. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Natalie Portman, Attack of the Clones. She was fucking hot. But no, they talk about like Stanley Kubrick because he was a big influence on George Lucas. And when he died in 99, they have a little like obituary for him in there and talks about like, 2001 and how that influenced George Lucas and stuff like that. So it's fucking awesome. Oh, Vector Prime. First book from the New Jedi Order.
Yep. Creepiest cover ever.
Mm-hmm. So
I would agree for fucking $10 because this thing probably cover charge was what?
oh geez, let's see if this
Some ridiculous amount of money.
I'm sure.
What is in here?
Yeah. Okay.
Did you see this?
No. What is that?
There's like
What the fuck?
There's like prints.
Oh shit! Show the video audience.
There's like in the front cover of this. There's like a couple of prints.
So yeah, price tag on this thing $50 US. So $50 brand new.
Check out that one. That one's a good one.
Get the fuck out. That's from Empire Strikes Back when they're in the space slugs.
Yeah, they were right here in the front.
Get the fuck out.
Look at that. Fucking the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Apparently they printed that. They printed it in 2010. But
Yeah,
it's
which
from
is probably when.
1979.
Yeah, it's probably when this book came out. Was 2010 because the last
That makes
year.
sense.
Yeah, the last year is 2009.
That makes sense. That's fucking badass.
Yeah, and it goes into all kinds of crazy connections, different links and shit like that between the Star Wars universe and other stuff. Like there was like a post about Men in Black in there from like 1997.
I saw that
because I think like ILM did the special effects for that.
Oh, there's probably enough Old Republic shit in here to make you fucking pass out.
Jizz in my pants.
So it's very, very cool.
Yeah, so
that's worth $10.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and again, Ralph McQuarrie artwork right on the front there. So, yeah, those were my thrift store finds. Let me get back into my notes. My iPad went to sleep. Okay, thrift store. The Death Star ice cubes.
Yes.
So, about a month ago, it's hard to see now.
It's now a death asteroid.
Yeah. About a month ago, I saw this ad on Facebook. I'm just perusing Facebook, and they like to target me with ads, as
Obviously.
as they tend to do. And it was for these ice cube makers that make fucking Death Stars. These things are like bigger than the size of a golf ball. I don't know, like maybe halfway between a golf ball and a baseball size.
Probably just slightly like a racquetball size.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. And I saw these ice cube makers that were the Death Star. I've seen them before, but I'm like, oh god, that's so fucking cool. I'd love to have this. So I shared it on Facebook as a joke, and I'm just like, oh boy, it would be nice if somebody loved me enough to buy this for me.
Yeah, right.
Some shit like that.
Some bullshit like that.
Right. My hope was that Kristen would see it and she'd get it for me as like a stocking stuffer for Christmas, right? Well, the next day, a very old friend of mine, his name is Jason Suchin. I've known this guy since we were in like third grade. An old friend from my hometown, one of my best friends growing up. This guy and I were close as brothers for years and years and years. He replies to my thing. He's like, okay, you should be seeing it in a few days. I'm like, what? and he sent me a copy of the receipt and of the tracking number.
If you go on All Things Star Wars Pod on Instagram, you can see pictures of this thing.
Yeah, I posted a picture of the ice cube, the Death Star ice cube, one that I made myself. So yeah, this good friend of mine, Jason, he just bought this thing for me on a whim. He saw my post and he said, fuck it, I'll buy it for him. So I mean, again, it wasn't that expensive. It was like, I don't know, $5 or something, but it really meant a lot to me that he did that. Because, again, I just kind of posted it as a joke, thinking nobody was going to say anything. But he did.
It's fucking great.
So, I mean, I do want to give a huge thanks to him. Again, Jason Suchin, one of my oldest, dearest friends from my hometown of Bakersfield, California. But then after that, I just got a message today from another old friend. His name is Eric. I'm sorry if I butcher your last name, but Eric Zerstorer. He's from Germany, lives in Sweden now.
Okay.
But he's a guy I met playing an online game, EverQuest. I don't know if you remember that from back in the day.
I heard you and Doug talk about it, but not.
It's an old MMORPG from 1999 is when it came out, and I probably met Eric through that in either 2000 or 2001.
Okay.
And we hit it off immediately. He was asking me some questions, and I was answering him back. And before we knew it, we had this like online friendship. Never met the guy in person,
Right.
but we've kept in touch for the last 16 years. And he also bought me one.
No shit.
And after he saw me post this picture of the ice cube I made, he's like, "Oh man, I missed the boat, but here's the tracking number. You should see the
That's fucking
your next
great.
ice cube coming in the next few days."
So apparently, this is how you get shit.
I know, right?
Post randomly, like oh, sad face, I don't have this.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, wham! People will come out of the woodwork and get it for you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to try this tactic, see if it works for me.
I know, right? So Jason and Eric, thank you both for the ice cube makers. They're actually fucking sweet. Dave is drinking out of a Diet Coke with one of the remnants of the Death Star ice cube in it.
It is. It. Listen, if we had a couple of whiskey glasses, you throw that thing right in a whiskey glass,
and that's what it's made for.
Yeah, put 2 fingers of something really really good in there. Perfect. Perfect. So yeah, very very cool.
Yep. And with that, we mentioned already my social media. I've kind of revamped my social media a little bit. I created a personal Instagram account, which you've been bugging me about for the better part of at least a year, maybe 2.
Easily.
Yeah, so I now have a personal Instagram account. It's pretty boring right now, but I have posted a lot of Star Wars related stuff on there already. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, at Darth Roscom on Instagram, at Darth Roscom on Twitter, and at Darth Roscom on Xbox One. And that's all I have to say about that.
So, one thing before we get into, or while we're talking about social media, and before we get into the content, do you think should we settle the score for our online poll?
Well, did you see Gorilla with the Ties post today?
I didn't.
Yeah. So
Let me
our other longtime listener, Gorilla with a Tie on Instagram, commented on the poll, and honestly, you didn't really help us out that much because he said you should just do both. I'm like, well, that's not going to help us. That's not going to.
Episode clone. No, I'm sorry. We don't have the time to do both. It's just not.
He also sent us a private message on Instagram as well.
Did he?
Yeah, I responded, but you can respond too.
All right,
he's a good guy.
Look at that.
Thanks, Gorilla.
So I bring this up just keep posting if you're still interested in the poll. We did bring it up the last podcast, but I think based on you, the viewer, you the listener,
yes,
the viewers over there, the listeners here, that it looks like we're going to keep going with the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I mean, are you okay with that?
I think the people have spoken. Yeah. No, I'm not okay with that. Why would I make a 25-minute fucking rant about wanting to do Rebels with all the shit going on and be okay with this outcome? Now,
one thing you can do is you can still watch Rebels, keep up with it, and
you know what, Jason? I don't need you to tell me what to do. There's a finite amount of time, so
that is true. You gotta
for the podcast. We will continue on with Clone Wars. We have 6 seasons,
5.5.
So we'll just continue on with Clone Wars, and we'll keep kind of pumping them out like we are. Obviously, we're busy right now with Journey to the Last Jedi.
Yes.
So that's our primary focus right now. So, but we'll keep doing the Clone Wars. You got the Blu-rays, and
I do.
And, I'll take my opportunities to watch them and catch up, and we'll just keep pressing with the Clone Wars, and then if we do it fast enough, maybe we can get to Rebels before it's completely irrelevant.
And I have no issue with that.
But we can't. Unfortunately, we can't do both.
Right. And
I think people would be bored to shit without hearing us go from one fucking cartoon to the other.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we went on we felt, we're sitting here, we talk to each other, we have our little post game after a podcast, and we're like, man, we just did like 3 comic book ones in 5 episodes, so we got to take a comic book break.
Yeah.
I can't imagine us bouncing back and forth between Clone Wars and Rebels. I just don't think it's fair to you, the listener. So, Clone Wars it is.
We're officially making the call.
Officially making the call. Clone
right.
Wars it is. I'll post something on the thing. But thank you so much, everybody, for your feedback. It was the deciding factor, honestly, because otherwise I would have just steamrolled Jason into just fucking doing Rebels, honestly. But since we said that we're going to crowdsource this thing. That's not the right terminology, but whatever. 27 comments on our post.
Yep, and that's just Instagram. We also got some comments on Facebook.
Yep. So anyway, we're gonna do Clone Wars. So that's the end of that.
All right. So moving on. Are we ready to knock out these books?
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about this for a long time.
We have. So, spoiler alerts.
Yes.
Spoiler alerts.
Yes.
We're going to fucking give away the books.
Yeah.
Everything you've got to hear. It's got it written right here. This will not be a full breakdown review of each book, but more what we learned as it pertains to Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
Yes.
Jason wrote it just like that for a reason, because if we talked, line by line in a book, there'd be a lot of information in there.
And this would be like a 6-hour podcast.
It would. And so we're not trying to do that. We're trying to lead into where this connects to Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Yep. So it's the absolute right thing to do, is to not really get into the weeds into each book.
Right, because honestly, they've been out for long enough now.
Yep.
Where people have had time to read them.
And we've already talked about Aftermath itself.
Yeah.
So now we're specifically Life, Debt, Empire's End.
Yes.
And then down the timeline for Bloodline.
Yes.
And then get this banged out. People are going to have a lot of questions, I'm sure, about some things. If you're listening to this, you're like, fucking, I'm not going to read the books. There's still a lot of good. I'm going to give an overall plug for the books.
Yeah.
That say, look, read them.
Yes, they were that good.
Yeah, they were good books. I would say at the end of the day, if you really want to read them, read them.
Yeah, because like all 3 of these books that we're about to talk about today, Life, Debt, Empire's End, and Bloodline, I think they were all well worth your time.
Yeah, they're definitely good reads. So let's for the sake of timing, let's just fucking blow right into it. But understanding to everyone out there that there are going to be spoilers, and we are going to talk a lot about the books, but
right.
If it's not going to be to a point where it's not going to ruin your enjoyment of reading it.
But at the same time, if we're not going to cover every single detail of these books because there's too much to cover in one podcast. Yep. So if we don't talk about something, don't think it's because we missed it. It's just we don't have fucking time. So the first thing I want to say, because we're going to start with Life, Debt.
Right.
The big thing that stuck out for me with Life, Debt, and you and I had a text message conversation about this. I don't know if you remember.
I do, yeah.
Is there's a lot of fucking going on in Life, Debt. Like,
there is.
I texted you as I'm halfway through Life, Debt. So this is what happened, right? So we have what's her face, the Zabrak bitch, the bounty hunter. What's her name? I know. It's been so long since I've read these. I've forgotten a lot of the names, but her and Jom. I remember Jom for some reason. He was fucking plain as white bread, but we've got those two who start fucking, right? Because there's this one scene where they're arguing on the ship as they're tracking down these Imperial officers and everything, and they're fucking bickering back and forth, blah 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 blah. Can I see you in the back room? And they go into this back room and slam the door, and then everybody can hear them fucking behind the door.
Yep.
It's like wow.
It was obvious what was going on.
Yeah. And then we talked about Singer, who's gay as the rainbow itself, which he makes no bones about it whatsoever. Nope. He is all about the cock. Right, so more power to him. It's if that's what you're into, then go for it. And he's boning this one guy. I can't remember his fucking boyfriend's name, but this guy plays a role throughout the rest of the trilogy. And we just got done.
Oh, it's because he's a slicer.
Right, yeah. So and he becomes imperative later on, especially in Empire's End. But they just right after Homegirl and Jom fucking the ship, Singer and his dude start boning in some like fucking hotel or whatever.
Condor Kyle.
Yeah, Condor. And they're not subtle about this in this book. That's one thing that Chuck Wendig was subtle when it came to who was fucking who.
Yeah.
And I texted you right after fucking Homegirl and John were fucking, and then right after Singer and his boyfriend were fucking. I'm like, dude, there is a lot of fucking sex in this book. This is Star Wars with an erection. And then right after I text you, fucking Nora starts boning fucking Wedge.
Yep.
Like the next page after I texted you, she's fucking Wedge. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. This guy's got a lot of sexual tension something built up.
We've got decades upon decades of like all this innuendo, so we might as well put it out there. All right, boom. These books are rated R.
Yeah, and this is like the most overt talk about sex in any Star Wars expanded universe I've ever seen. Legends, fucking
Indeed.
Current canon, all that. Like this one book, Life Debt, is more fucking sex than I've ever seen in anything Star Wars related. Which, I mean, I just found it humorous. I didn't find it distracting one way or the other. Because
no, I mean, it wasn't out of place in the storyline.
No.
Because it was just like, all right, here's this team of people, the opposites attract, as it were. And yeah, it just, hey, you're in close proximity to each other all the time. There's always that level of danger. And then, that one thing leads to another. And then Bob's your uncle.
Yeah. Because, the galaxy's pretty vast. And what the hell is her name, the bounty hunter chick? Are you looking it up?
I'm fucking looking. There's the text messaging that's going on.
Doesn't it just have a list of characters?
It goes like, and the...
Oh, my God.
Nora Wexley and her team of people.
It doesn't go into it, huh?
Hang on. John Burrell. Joss Amari.
Jazz, or Joss, or Jazz. J-A-Z, right?
J-A-S.
J-S, Jazz.
J-A-S.
I think I called her Jess in my head.
Jess.
Yeah. Jazz Amari. So, yes, the Zabrak bounty hunter, which she made a pass at Singer in the first Aftermath, which we talked about a little bit during our Aftermath episode. Right. She's like, oh, after this we can couple or whatever. And Singer's like, nah, I'm not about that.
I'm not into you.
Yeah. So... yeah, so that was the one thing that really stuck out about Life Debt. Forget about the Wookiees and Han Solo and the liberation of Kashyyyk and all that. No, the one thing that really stuck out for me in Life Debt was all the fucking that was going on.
I wonder if Jazz had all the horns and everything. Anyway.
Well, yeah, because it became a factor in Empire's End. Remember how she
That's right, yeah.
she broke off one of her horns and used it as a weapon against that
right.
bounty hunter that was looking for her? Which there's a whole backstory with her, and her fucking aunt had a debt and all this bullshit, which you can just read the details about that. We're not going to go into that in this because it's insignificant. So we talked about in the first Aftermath, the Acolytes of the Beyond, which I don't think they were even called that in the first Aftermath.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know that they were titled anything like that. It was kind of a group of kids, like a little gang almost.
And it wasn't even kids. It was... just this group of people who kind of worshipped Vader, the dark side. And we talked about it in the first Aftermath where they bought what they thought was Darth Vader's lightsaber after the Battle of Endor.
Right.
Which we never really got confirmation if it was real or not. And they even alluded to it in that book that maybe it wasn't authentic.
Right.
But in Life Debt and then into Empire's End, they stole another red lightsaber from a museum, and then they steal a bunch more Sith artifacts from somewhere else. They spray paint Vader Lives on a bunch of walls in Coruscant, I think it was. So,
quick sidebar.
Yeah.
How far are you into Catalyst? Have you read any more of it?
Nope.
Shit.
Like less than a chapter. Why? Is there something relevant in there?
It's just there's a thing with the lightsabers, because when you get to there's a point in Catalyst where... you know what? You're gonna have to read it.
Right.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. But obviously, where there's lightsabers, there's kyber, right?
Of course.
So the kyber crystal is a big part of what's going on in Rogue One, because what's happening in Jeddah, they're mining all the kyber, right? Mm-hmm. So there's connections there.
Okay.
So what in the ever-loving fuck is going on?
Who is that? Who is 1-800-531-7103?
I don't know.
All right. You should have answered and be like, "Fucking what? I'm recording a podcast right now, motherfucker."
I should have actually. I think it's my insurance company.
USAA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they usually 531?
I don't fucking know.
I don't usually get phone calls from them, so I don't know either. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back to this. So yeah, they made an appearance again in Life Debt and in Empire's End. What the significance is, I don't know, because we never really got a payoff with them. Except we found out later on that Yup Tashu, which is that fucking like purple fucking advisor to the Emperor, was also part of their little group. But yeah, some people think that they're related to the Knights of Ren, which I don't really know if that's true.
I don't buy that. You know, I've seen some imagery like that one YouTube video you had me, that I was watching, prior to us taping.
Yeah,
like that made some imagery that would allude to that fact, but I don't buy that.
Right.
I think really what this is what I got from that, as they were trying to portray in the books, that like there was a part of society, and there was groups of people that were looking for artifacts from the Empire, that were collecting things from the Sith Lords and Jedi, and they knew all these things existed. So if they could get hold of these things, and there was a market for it, so if you're in the lower levels at Coruscant and you're trying to like find things, and hey, maybe you're just using them for like to take to the pawn shop, what's her nuts, the fucking hut that's got all that huge
Nema?
Jedi collection, Nema. Yeah. Maybe it's just something used for bargaining for that, because they have huge collections of older Jedi materials and Sith materials. And things
or,
like
I mean,
that,
they could just be like, like today. Did you ever see the movie American Beauty? I think it was from the late 90s. Kevin Spacey, the fucking bag flying in the wind. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, but I don't remember. That's not a part of the movie that I remember.
Right. Well,
there's certain parts of the movie I remember. That's not one of them.
The blonde who shows her tits.
Yeah.
But no, there was
roses.
Right. Yeah.
Movie.
But there was the dude's dad who was like he collected like all the fucking the Nazi memorabilia.
Okay.
You remember that portion where he had the fucking
No.
the dinner plates with the fucking Nazi symbol on the back?
I don't remember that, but I believe you.
That's kind of what I think when I see this stuff with the acolytes. Maybe they're not Knights of Ren, they're not dark side followers, but they're like people who maybe kind of worship that sort of thing.
Fair enough.
Or
yeah,
collect
I'll
like the
buy into
Sith
that.
and the Empire artifacts from that.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily part of like, as you're trying to overthrow the government. Although, when we fast forward to Empire's End and we're talking about the assassination attempt, maybe that the unrest that's going on maybe is contributing to that.
Sure. Yeah.
They could have had a part of that.
And
there is some allegory to that in one of the books. I think we'd have to break it down by chapter to really get that deep into it.
Yeah.
But they do have some interference in when they're talking to individuals about events that are happening on Coruscant.
Right.
So
and I think a lot of this could be red herrings too. To get us to think that maybe these are the Knights of Ren, but they're really not.
Maybe.
And a lot of what these interludes are, and because that's what this is. These are part of these interludes that we talked about a little bit during the first Aftermath, and we get them throughout the whole trilogy of books, where we get these interludes that are like these separate stories from what's going on in the main part of the book. Mm-hmm. We got the fucking interludes that are taking place with like the Alderaan fucking refugees, the people left over from Alderaan, the dude on Tatooine who has Boba Fett's armor, all kinds of other random stories going on from around the galaxy that have nothing to do with the main story, but we're getting these interludes interspersed throughout the whole trilogy of books. And I think what those are, the whole purpose of that is just to show us what's going on in the galaxy now that the Empire is kind of falling.
It's a broader view.
Yeah.
It's not just like, here, we're going to hyper-focus on these characters doing these things. It's showing that there is other things going on in the galaxy besides what's going on with the events of these people.
Yes.
So, yeah, I buy that.
Yeah. So,
excuse me.
I don't think we're going to touch on all of these interludes that happen throughout these books because there's so many different ones. There was the one with Lando, where he retakes Cloud City.
It's a dynamite taste.
You know, we've got him retaking Cloud City, all kinds of shit going on.
You know what? I forgot about that. But yeah, that was a. You would think that would have been a bigger part.
Yeah, but it was only one chapter. One
Yeah,
chapter of those interludes.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way,
yeah.
he goes back in there. Him and
and
Lobot.
Yeah, the fucking bald dude with the
Lobot. It's
with the electric, receding hairline. I don't know what else to call that. So, and then obviously, Life Debt is a reference to Han Solo and Chewbacca. The life debt that Chewbacca allegedly owes Han for rescuing him, which hopefully we'll see that origin in the Han Solo movie.
Right. That YouTube video alluded to something like that, and I don't think there'll be a payoff for that. But
in the Han Solo movie?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go there.
You don't think we're going to see Han free Chewie in that?
I don't think it's going to be as big as you want it to be.
No, that's true, because it feels like they're going to try to shove a whole bunch of shit into one movie. They're going to shove the Kessel Run in there. Yep. They're going to shove fucking him winning the Millennium Falcon from Lando in there. Yeah. They're going to shove Chewie in there.
I bet you they show his fucking the wife, the alleged wife from the fucking
from the comics.
From the comics in there. You know, she's got to make some sort of appearance too. You know,
yep.
How the fuck does that shit go down?
Good question.
There's too much.
Yeah,
there's too much.
Not to mention the fact that they have to clean up the mess of Lord and Miller,
right?
Interspersed with Ron Howard. But we're not here to talk about that.
As long as we talk, as long as he makes the Kessel Run, it's all fine.
Yeah,
in less than fucking 14 parsecs.
12.
Good. I teed you up for that
one. So anyway, the main crux of this book is the liberation of Kashyyyk.
Right.
Our band of misfits, led by Nora Wexley, her son, and then of course Singer, Jazz, Jom. All these guys are hunting Imperials. That's kind of how this book starts. We talked about it last time, whereas the first Aftermath book is sort of a standalone book, and then these next two, Life Debt and Empire's End, kind of feed off of each other. Right. I look at it the same way I look at the original trilogy, whereas the original Star Wars can stand on its own as a movie.
Right.
Wait,
what? What's going on? Stop it.
We're having technical difficulties over here.
Please go. Just do it.
Do you know how to hit the pause button?
Shut up.
My God. Anyway.
It's Monday. Stop it.
Yeah, it is Monday. So anyway, the first Aftermath kind of stands on its own, much like the original Star Wars did. And then you've got Life, Debt, and Empire's End, which kind of piggyback off of each other, much like Empire and Jedi do in the movies. So that's kind of the way I see these books. I don't remember where I was going with that. Fuck! You were killing me, Dave.
No, you were talking about Kashyyyk and the liberation of Kashyyyk.
Yeah, so liberation of Kashyyyk.
The crux of the...
Right, okay, yeah. Because at the end of the first Aftermath, we did mention that maybe the Republic's got some missions for our band of misfits, and that they're going to stay together, and they're going to kind of do the New Republic's bidding. And that's how we start in this book. It's like they're hunting down Imperial officers. Singer's fucking torturing them, trying to get information. They capture them.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah.
Which, by the by, it's obvious that for a guy who this was, he doesn't take as much pleasure in the interrogations as I guess that he would have back when he was an Imperial officer.
Right.
But he's very, very good at it. And like the way they describe like the interrogations and those things, like basically like you look at his character and go like, this would be a great, this would be a great standalone character.
Yes.
This guy could have his own fucking book as an ISB guy, just fucking, roaming the galaxy, fucking showing up at somebody's fucking, fort somewhere. Like, oh, hey, by the way, I know your shit's not running quite right. Let's go over here. Let's go have a talk about that.
Yeah.
Here, have a seat.
Yeah, I mean, he really is the deepest character in all of these books. I mean, he's got such a backstory. He's got such internal conflict because, he's the interrogator, so to speak. He's done torture and all that shit.
Even though he really doesn't want to do it anymore.
Exactly.
He really doesn't want to do it anymore, but
deep down he knows
it's the right thing to do.
Or that's what he was always born to do. That's what he's good at. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that he knows how to do. Even though he hates to do it.
And honestly, this is one of those things where they do a good job in the book of relating like his character and his internal conflict. Mm-hmm. Singer's internal conflict with, what would I say? What would I say his name? Condor.
Condor, yeah,
Condor,
his boyfriend.
His boyfriend, like, yeah, this is a really good person, and I've been a really bad person for so long that I don't necessarily want to be the bad guy. You know, I want to make sure I'm on the right side of these things, and that's why he's kind of continues to stay with Nora Wexley in that.
Right, he almost feels like he's not good enough for Condor, right? Because he's not worthy of him. Because Condor's a good guy, and he's just a fucking piece of shit who's done all this bad shit.
Yeah, he's done all these bad things. So it's interesting, which leads to, I think we were actually going to have an entire episode dedicated to just the sex, drugs, and rock and roll of fucking Star Wars.
Right, and Singer
would have been a huge part of that.
Oh yeah, because that's the thing. Like, he's a fucking alcoholic. We talked about it in the last book. But yeah, he's constantly drinking. If he's not out there torturing, he's fucking looking for a place to get shit faced, or fuck another dude. But that's like his thing. Dave's pouring another Diet Coke. Should I ask the person in the house to bring out another ice cube?
You can if you want to use it. Otherwise, you can save it for another time.
Or I can just make another one in like an hour.
You can do whatever you want, Jason.
All right, I will ask the friendly person inside to bring us another ice cube. This is riveting for the audience.
Is it?
Cold 45 malt liquor. It's a dynamite taste.
And see, that's the problem. It'll get stuck.
And now I can't truncate silence and all that.
No,
so it's just all going to be in there.
It's all going to be there. It's the best.
Yep.
Well, some of it will truncate.
Yeah. So, do we have anything to say about the actual liberation of Kashyyyk? Because that's what a majority of the story is, but it's all kind of by the numbers. Our band goes in. First, they come across Han Solo on some other planet.
Right.
That's right, because they were looking for him for Leia. And Leia's like, can you...
Because he's like disappeared off the face of the... she's lost track of him.
Yeah.
So she's like, I need to know where Homeboy is.
Yeah, because she's pregnant at this point with Ben, Kylo Ren, Emo Ren. And so, yeah. So
Ben!
So she asks Nora to go find Han. They find him on one planet, and he's like, all right, well, I'm not going back until I liberate Kashyyyk and find Chewie and all that.
Right.
And that's basically what happens for the whole rest of the story. There's a portion where they find I guess it was a crashed ship that was being used as a prison, which housed Chewbacca and also Brendan Wexley, Timon's dad.
Nora Wexley's husband.
Yes, yeah, Timon's dad.
Right. Who
they've been hinting at since the first book that he was taken by the Empire. Don't know what the fuck happened to him.
Yeah, we can't really downplay that, actually, because so the story leads you down this path where it's like you have no idea that the Nora's husband, like, they don't have any idea. They just assume that he's dead. Like, they have no idea. Like, they know he was captured.
Yes.
Haven't heard from him, so they assume that he was dead.
Why, thank you.
Thank you.
That was Kristen delivering another Death Star ice cube to us.
So how do we release?
Look at that. Oh, it's a thing of beauty. Can we get that on the video?
Let's see. All right. There it is. There's the dish. I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
Probably not.
Get it right into the
Just go to our Instagram, All Things Star Wars Pod on Instagram, and you'll see pictures of the Death Star ice cube. It's
you do.
Fucking awesome.
Probably to take the cloudiness out of it, you probably have to use water that's not tap water. So
I didn't use tap water. I used water from the filter.
You used filter water, and it's so cloudy like that.
Yeah. I don't know.
So where's that? Oh, there it is. There's a dish in there.
Yep. So yeah,
So cool.
it comes in two pieces. Yeah, you put them together, and then you fill this with water, and then an hour later, you've got a fucking Death Star ice cube.
There's a way to make ice cubes like clear. I thought it was with different water, but it might not be. There might be something to it.
You will have to research.
More to follow.
Yeah.
On that.
But either way, now Dave has a full Death Star ice cube in his glass of Diet Coke. So anyway,
Death Star.
We were talking about the prisoners, Brendan Wexley.
Yeah.
Chewbacca. Was Chewbacca?
Brendan?
Yeah, Chewbacca was in that group.
Yes.
But him and a bunch of other people that were captives of the Empire, which spoiler alert again, they were there for a reason and they were meant to be caught. Because what we didn't know until the end of Life Dead is that they all had fucking chips in their heads that have some sort of mind control bullshit going on. And later on, when they're having this big celebration, on Chandrila, Mon Mothma's there, all these senators, fucking the Empire activates the chips that are in all these motherfuckers, and then they just start killing people.
Right.
And we're led to believe that I think General Nadine was one of them. Bunch of Mon Mothma's advisors were there. Mon Mothma herself got shot, but she didn't die.
Right. And Nora's husband, whose name I don't think is what are we saying?
I was calling him Brendan, but that may not be right.
I don't think that's right.
Something Wexley.
Anyway, I'm just going to keep going with Nora's husband.
Yeah.
See how good our research team is.
We're very.
We need a research team. That's
true.
what we need.
Yeah, we need somebody to put together the notes for us and just be like, "Here you go."
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that offline.
All right.
We'll get the boys to do it.
There you go.
That'll work out well.
I don't think it would.
No?
No.
Fair enough. Anyway, there throughout the books, like the Wexleys reunite.
Yes.
You know, Mr. and Mrs. Wexley, and like it's like, oh my God, he's been, my husband's found and everything else.
And of course, Timon has his dad back.
Yeah, Timon, and it's things are great for like a week or two.
Right.
And then the find out his name while I'm talking.
All right.
You find out.
No.
You fucking research.
Although, let's not forget though that Nora was just fucking Wedge like a week before they found this guy.
Nora's like I don't. You say they're fucking. They maybe
it
they
explicitly
are,
said
not.
they were fucking. Like
Regardless,
there was no question.
So she's feeling some kind of way because like, oh man, my husband's back, and now Wedge feels weird about it. So there's all that shit's going on, right?
Yeah.
But after the kind of honeymoon period is over, like they realize that he's not really the same once you find his name. Like Mr. Wexley is not the same guy. Like he still like has the same intelligence, and him and Temmin like work on stuff together, but he's he's prone to go off on his own. When I was reading it, and we make allusions to it I think somewhere later in the notes, but when I was reading it, it seemed more like, okay, is this a PTSD thing? Is this because you're in prison for so long and there's like a reintegration that you would have, like, in the military, we have that reintegration period.
Oh yeah.
Before we, people come back from their deployments,
or even like POWs.
Yeah.
Like they have that sort of a period also. You have
a full interrogation process that you go through to get any information that you can get out of, where you were captured and everything else. And then you go back into this reintegration period where you're slowly introduced to your family and stuff, because the trauma of what you've gone through and everything else, and all the veterans that are out there listening, exactly what I'm talking about. So it kind of put me in that mindset where, like, yeah, maybe this guy is just like, he's just off because all this stuff's going on. Maybe he gets the vibe that, like, his old lady's been messing around with Wedge, and it really affects Temmin. That is like he wants to side with his father, like, whereas Nora's very like, something's just not clicking.
Yeah.
And Temmin's like really like no, it's my father, he's back, and they spent a lot of time in the book playing to that. Whereas so when the actual when the chips are now execute order 67, once this finally kicks off, and we're talking about I don't know that we can really get without getting into huge details about like the build up with Gallius Rex and everyone else. And
well, we're gonna get into him in a different part,
but it's all this stuff had to lead into the fact that, okay, boom, let's get the chips turned on.
Yeah.
And some people had like kind of gone off the deep end even before the assassination attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just never like recovered properly.
Right.
So it was just interesting to see how they portrayed it. I like what they did with the the Wexley family.
Yes.
Like to show that dynamic and like, okay, it put me in a position like, okay, this guy who was a POW basically, and they're bringing it back, and to me it was almost a surprise that like while the celebration was going on that he was going to be the guy, like that was going to assassinate Mon Mothma at that point.
And they kind of hinted at, they were dropping hints not long after they found him that things weren't quite right.
Right.
Something was up, but they couldn't quite put their finger on it.
Right.
So, and then at the end, boom, big assassination attempt and all that. Before we continue on, I need to piss real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
just gonna let the thing record.
Okay.
You do whatever you do. I'll be back in like 45 seconds.
What to do? No. Never seen that scene in Scanners where the guy's head blows up. And that's how you make margaritas.
Sorry.
I actually was like quiet for that almost that entire time, so probably most of that will be gone.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't think of anything to say.
I thought the last time that we did this, it was pretty entertaining. You just
I was sitting here going, what can I do? Next time this happens, I'll just practice my Hank Hill impression.
That'd be great.
Well,
or just run the gamut of all your voices.
This is true.
All right, so where did we leave off?
I forget.
Okay. I think we kind of covered a good portion of Life Dead.
So I think what we're starting to do is we're starting to dig deeper than we really wanted to get. Let's really just start talking about what's important out of Life Debt that we need to take to Empire's End is going to get us to the next, get us to this.
Okay, so
conclusion.
Basically, both Life Debt and Empire's End, the biggest things that have to do or that affect our current universe are obviously Leia being pregnant with Ben.
Right.
We found out that her and Han got married like right away.
Right.
Yeah, they got married on Endor like right after the fucking second Death Star blew up. Unlike the Legends universe where it took them fucking 5 years to get married.
It was a huge courtship and all this other stuff.
Yeah, so that happened. Luke is already very elusive. He didn't appear in any of these books. The only time we even heard about Luke was the last chapter of Empire's End, when after she had Ben, they mentioned that they even heard that Luke Skywalker made an appearance to see the baby after he was born. But other than that, he was out. He was gone.
Yep.
Like, he's been very elusive.
He's out doing whatever we're going to find him doing up until the point of The Last Jedi.
I sure hope
honestly.
so. Like, I hope we get filled in eventually as to what the fuck he's been up to, because it's been a big mystery up to this point. I mean, beyond like taking Ben as an apprentice and then losing him to the dark side.
So the liberation of Kashyyyk for the whole Life Debt thing, that's obviously it's Life Debt. To be, I expected it to be more of a part of this, like what this book was going to be. Yeah. And it turns out it was really kind of a small part of it.
Yeah, it really wasn't a huge part.
It was more about like what the Empire was doing, like on the planet with the the Kashyyyk, with the Wookiee slaves, and this fucking crazy
that Moff guy. Or was he a Moff or was he just like an admiral? But anyway,
I thought he was a Moff, but he's basically going out on hunts. Like he's got the Wookiees fighting each other, and he's just a fucking lunatic.
He's a sadistic asshole.
Yeah, and it's harkens back to you make Nazi references.
Yeah.
In a lot of this stuff where experimentation and like, oh, here we're gonna what can we do with these creatures? So I think that was a big part of it. The liberation, like it's not over like instantaneously. There's all these camps and everything. So they had this grand plan to go in to actually go into the main area to capture the leader, this Moff. And then it turned into that hunt where Sinjar was captured, Jean was captured, so there's a lot of detail in the book about that. So Liberation of Kashyyyk, ultimately they find the fucking POWs and get them, as was all part of the plan. Right,
because ultimately what this Aftermath series is really about, it's about the Empire.
It's teeing it up.
Yeah.
It's teeing it up for Empire's End, for getting an idea of like how much control Gallius Rax really has.
Or Ray Sloane for that matter.
Yeah, and I think Ray Sloane is really... it shows her making her power plays, but it just kind of shows she's along for the ride.
Yeah, whereas it's Rax is really the one pulling the strings.
Right. And seeing how much the Empire remnant there really is, we get some allusion to that in this book.
Yeah, but even on Kashyyyk, we get a feel for what the state of the Empire is, because I think that Moff guy that was in charge is like, oh, reinforcements are going to come, they're going to come, and they never do.
Yeah, because there were Star Destroyers, like he had Star Destroyers.
Yeah,
in orbit. I believe, didn't he?
Maybe a Star Destroyer.
Yeah, there was something. There was something up there. It was. Was that buzzing?
That was my mother texting me.
Oh, all right, fair enough. You give me shit all the time for my stuff going off.
Well, this is actually about my sister's friend who was at that concert in Las Vegas is alive.
Well, that's
but
good.
A girl that died was in the same group that they were in that went to Vegas for the concert.
Fuck.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
So anyway,
back to
and
what I wish our reality was.
Yeah, we'll kind of bookend this, like the life that, with the fact that it started off where Rey thought she was kind of the one in charge of the Empire, even though she knew Gallius Rax had more information than her.
Right.
Was kind of like pulling the strings, but she was still supposed to be the figurehead.
Right, the Grand Admiral.
Right. Whereas at the end of the book, he kind of bitches her out because he sends her to Chandrila to negotiate with the Republic.
Basically, put her on the same podium when
the assassination attempt happens.
Murdered.
Yeah, and then he just fucking ditches her.
Yep.
And she's got to escape. And now, by the end of Life Debt, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill that motherfucker."
All right.
And she doesn't care about the Empire at this point. She just wants Rax's fucking head.
Right. So we get into Empire's End. So again, getting to the crux of what these books are, right?
And this is it, Empire's End.
Empire's End. If you fucking fast forward through everything and you're reading Empire's End, you're going to get a lot out of it as to like the future of what's going on. Mm-hmm. One of those things mainly being the First Order.
Yes.
So there's allusions to, we meet, what's his nuts? Fuck, I can't think of what's the fucking.
Hold on, you got a bug crawling on your neck.
Get the fuck out of here,
fucker! All right, he's gone. It was that fucking same stink bug. I'm just watching him like creep up your neck. I'm like, I better handle this now.
That would have been great.
Yeah,
I would have loved that.
Got to fumigate this room.
For fucking viewing audience.
Watch Dave like, ah!
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad we prevented that. It's a dynamite taste. So I what I really want to do is like fucking just fast forward to the parts where, like, all right, we know Rax fucking is basically who Gallius Rax is. We haven't talked about who he really is.
Not
yet.
really.
So we know that he was a fucking kid. That,
on Jakku.
On Jakku.
Yes.
And the Emperor had fucking put, previous to, before he was the fucking Emperor.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, all these observatories, we're going to talk about the observatory, all of this shit started during, like, when he was Chancellor Palpatine,
Yeah.
before the Clone Wars even started.
Yeah, he had it wasn't just this is our path to greatness. It wasn't just through the Death Star and through like taking Luke and all this other shit. He had contingency plans running.
Yes.
Like if this happens, then this is going to happen, this is going to happen. So he ends up, Palpatine ends up on Jakku,
Yes.
and runs into this little bastard kid,
Yeah.
who's being a pain in the ass, right?
Yeah, he stows away on Palpatine's ship.
Right. And so Palpatine sees good things, like, hey, you know what? This kid's got moxie. I'm going to fucking include him into my fucking plan. I'm going to put you back on this fucking planet, and your job is going to be to protect this area.
Yeah, keep
Jakku.
people away.
And the kid was really, really good at it. He killed. It alludes to him killing constantly for the Emperor.
Yep.
So, and earning, Palpatine's trust to get to, to where he's going to be at this point as part of the contingency.
Yes. And that's the big thing. That's what's kind of driving all of this is Palpatine's contingency plan in case he died.
Right.
What would happen to the Empire?
Right. And what you get to at the end of all this, and what we're finding in the comics and everything else is like this is not a singularity.
Right.
Like we're talking, we say the contingency. It's made fairly clear. Now I keep thinking there's fucking something crawling on me.
Trust me, I'll let you know if there
God
is.
damn it, Jason!
Why is this my fault? I helped you.
God,
I could have just let it fucking crawl all the way up your neck, but
would have smashed it and then it would have stunk. That would have been all. Fucking stink bugs. Anyway, we're talking about the contingency and how it alludes in other things that we're reading at. There's multiple contingencies,
right, and there's a lot of tie-ins, like we talked
Right.
about in Shattered Empire. There's the fucking the messengers, the Sentinels, or whatever they're
Right.
called. They talk to the different admirals. Like the one in Shattered Empire is like, you're gonna go fucking raise Naboo.
Exactly.
In Battlefront 2, there's a messenger that goes to Aiden's dad, Admiral Versio, and tells him, you will do this, this, and this.
So he's got there's programs out there like if something happens to me, then some shit's going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Which sidebar makes things really, really interesting about the Snoke origin. Like
Yeah.
it only like fast forward to like, okay, Gallius Rax, the way his character is, and he has such an important role, had such a close connection with Palpatine. You think that there's the only he's got to be it's gone. Fucking the guy, the fucking
Snoke.
Thank you. It went that quickly, dude. It was going that fucking quickly.
I'm
What
like,
is
what the
wrong
fuck are
with
you
me?
talking about?
My God.
You're still scratching your
Yeah,
neck.
my neck is
that
so
fucking that
scratched.
stink bug is like got you all like fucking discombobulated.
Oh,
You're-
fucking work. God damn it! Somebody shoot at me and
Okay,
get me focused.
so yeah, there was like some people that theorize that maybe Rax is Snoke.
Right, because Rax, again jumping around in the timeline of the books, Rax ends up getting. We would assume he's left behind to die.
Right.
That's on Jeddah, right? Or no, is that on Jakku?
Jakku.
On Jakku.
Yeah.
Right. So assuming he's left behind to die.
Yeah.
So, and then
Well, he did die. Spoiler alert.
well, we assume that.
Well, fucking Rey killed him. Like she straight up killed him. I thought.
The way I read it. It
Oh
seemed like
no, he was kind of like dying, and he
was
told her
dying, and then she left.
yeah, and he
It
told
was
her go
kind
get
of
on the ship.
like I'm catching you monologuing here, and I'm gonna fucking live on. So it does. I can see how people would say like, well, he somehow gets through that, and it gets all fucked up, and ends up becoming Snoke. I don't believe that to be the case because we watch what actually like. I think Rax realizes at a point in Empire's End that he is much as a pawn in this as anything else, and he always has been.
Right.
So he knows that his part of the grand plan, like you're a piece in this machine, and once I'm done with you, like how I taught you to be with other people, you are also one of those people that's expendable.
Yeah.
In my plan.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
he comes to that realization towards the end of Empire's End. But all right, so there's two things that I really want to break down here. First, the actual contingency, what the details of the contingency are, and then about the observatory itself. So let's talk about the contingency.
Okay.
Ultimately, beyond Palpatine saying, "Yeah, go fucking wipe out Naboo, go destroy this planet, go do this," the real contingency was, you're going to destroy the Empire. If I die, that means this Empire is fucked. It means that there is a cancer here that can't be cured, and what you need to do is you just need to completely exterminate the body and start anew. And
Right.
that's what the contingency was. It was, beyond all these little things, it was gather the fleet at Jakku. Republic's going to come there. You're going to activate this thing in the core of Jakku that's going to blow up the whole planet, blow up every fucking ship around it, going to wipe out the entire Empire in the process. And you and this small group of people are going to go to this place, which we'll talk about when we get to the observatory, and you're going to go and you're going to start fresh. You're going to start
Right.
anew. And that's kind of the origins of the First Order. But yeah, ultimately, that's what the contingency is. It's you destroy the Empire completely and start fresh. And you see hints of this throughout the course of the trilogy that kind of come to fruition. Whereas you find out there's like an informer that's feeding information to the Republic throughout the course of this trilogy. Is like, oh, where the Empire is going to be at a specific
It's
time.
Sloane's admin, right?
Well, no, I mean it's Rex. It's Gallius Rex.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's
Well,
feeding that information in order to eliminate all of the admirals that may contend for
That's
leadership.
right, because he's got a code name. I forget what that code name was.
Yeah, but yeah, it was like the traitor that was feeding him information,
Right.
and like he used that as a means to eliminate any opposition he would have within the Empire, to kind of give him final leadership over the Empire. You've really got to get over this, man.
I know, my neck is all itchy now.
And then ultimately it's gather the whole fleet at Jakku. The whole fleet's going to get annihilated except for this small group that's going to go out. And the place that they're going to go out to is determined by this observatory at Jakku. This is what I think is kind of the crux of everything, is this observatory at Jakku, because I think it links to so much in the movies. They talk about it in here. It's a series of computers, ancient computers too, not Empire technology, but before the Empire, that are looking beyond the known galaxy into what they call the unknown regions.
Right.
Which you've got wild space, which is kind of like beyond the borders of the outer rim. The unknown regions are what's beyond the western portion of the galaxy, if you're looking at it at a map.
Right.
And they say
Look
that
at it in 2 dimensions.
yeah. But they're saying it's all the unknown regions are all completely sealed off due to a series of like space storms, black holes, gravity wells, shit like that, and nobody can navigate through that. But they mention in this that between these computers' calculations and the information from Grand Admiral Thrawn, who they brought up at the end of Empire's End, who is apparently from the unknown regions, which I got to ask you about that because you read the Thrawn book.
Right.
They mentioned in Empire's End that Thrawn is not from the known galaxy and that he contributed information for them to navigate the unknown regions. Did they allude to that at all in the Thrawn novel that you know of? That you can tell without like spoiling the novel? Because when I saw
I think
when I saw that, I got really excited because up to this point they had never mentioned Thrawn at all.
it's not
in Empire's End. Because they mentioned that
I'm really trying to think of what I can say without spoiling some parts of Thrawn, because there's some nuances there in the Thrawn that like you want to have those revelations.
okay, well then I won't say
so-
anything. I won't say anything, but I'll say what they said in Empire's End was the Emperor kept Thrawn around because of his knowledge of the unknown regions and the inputs that he gave to this computer to help them navigate through the unknown regions. And that's what the end of the contingency was. First of all, they mentioned too that Palpatine had some sort of a sense like there was something like some origins of the Force and origins of the dark side that were calling to him from the unknown regions. That could potentially be Snoke. We've talked about before. But that was what the contingency was. It was They made these calculations. They found a way to get through all these black holes and storms and gravity wells and all that. They found a way to navigate through where they could get to the unknown regions. And that's where this Empire remnant was going to go. These last few people from Jakku were going to go. They were going to meet the last superstar destroyer, the Eclipse, I think it's called.
Which was the Eclipse was Palpatine's.
Yeah, it was his superstar destroyer. Right. And then they were going to then go into the unknown regions and ultimately create the First Order. And that is the origins of the First Order.
Right. So what we're kind of glazing over a little bit for as far as origins of the First Order. It's important to know that this is where Brendel Hux,
yes,
plays an important part.
Yeah, and this is why the Phasma novel is important, because
right.
it goes more into him.
Yeah, Brendel Hux was kind of dragged along as a, like, to me, I'm envisioning him as just some fucking fat fuck.
Yeah.
That, like, okay, he served a purpose for the Emperor, but Rax needed him because in order to create the new army that they know they're going to need for what it's not called the First Order.
Not at this point, yeah.
But he knows that, like, this guy, what he does is he trains troops. Like, this is what he does, and he can train basically children at a young age to become lethal stormtroopers.
Yeah.
So they drag him through this whole thing. He had a presence in the initial meetings, like when the little shadow group was meeting with Rey and but everyone else, Rey Sloane, that is. Mm-hmm. So they basically drag him and his bastard son,
Armitage, redheaded Hitler.
Yeah, exactly. They dragged him through this, and he already has some children, like some of the children of Jakku, already in the program.
Right.
Where they're working in around the observatory, and that's where you see Armitage. Kind of, this is where he starts feeling like he has power over something,
right?
Because he's with these kids, and they do everything that they do it. All right,
what he tells them,
yeah, he's like, go fight and kill this other
punch
person.
This guy right in the face,
yeah, boom,
and he does.
It does. So this is where you start seeing that side of him, where it's like, okay, I've been treated like a piece of shit. Dad's keeping me around because he sees, like, he doesn't like me, but he knows that I have a part in the future of all this. Mm-hmm. So you see him get dragged along, and ultimately gets dragged all the way to the Eclipse and to the unknown regions to start what is the First Order.
Yeah.
So who all we got? We got Rey Sloane.
Mm-hmm.
Right. She's out there with the Hux.
Right, and that's the thing. At the end of this, Rey finds Gallius Rax at the observatory.
Right.
They fight. She essentially kills him. And then Rax actually tells her, you got to go with Hux in this shuttle, and you got to go start the new Empire. Even though they were fucking fighting, he's like, somebody's got to do it. So he tells her, and she goes.
Yep.
So she is now, it's like her, Brendel Hux, Armitage Hux. They fly off in this shuttle to go meet with the Eclipse, and they're going into unknown
and there's this
regions.
and it's the whole thing, like all the stuff that happens on Jakku with the fucking huts. Like you got
Nema the Hutt.
Nema the Hutt's involved in it, and Rey Sloane, when she escapes, she actually escapes with Nora Wexley's husband.
Because she kind of joined together. A lot of details that we can.
Yeah, so they're like they pair up together to be able ultimately to get to a singularity, to the end of this whole thing.
Yeah, because they're both looking for Rax. They want revenge on Rax. Because Nora's husband is pissed off because they put that chip in him. So he's like, I want to kill the motherfucker that did this to me. And
so they had a common enemy, so they fly off together and do all that whole thing.
Yeah.
And he gets fucking...
He gets killed.
Yeah,
he dies at the end. So Nora gets to go fuck Wedge for the rest of the time.
They all lived happily ever after.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's go back because I want to talk about this observatory.
Okay.
We talked about it. It's making these calculations. It's basically the only one of its kind. They talk about other observatories throughout the galaxy that the Emperor put in place that are looking at other parts of the beyond the galaxy, but this is the only one that was looking into the unknown regions, plotting this big map. This, I think, is what ties together Luke leaving at the beginning of Force Awakens. Because Luke is missing, and then fucking what's his name, Lord Santeca has the piece of the map that tells how, or where Luke is, and I think that's all based around this observatory. My theory is Luke used this observatory because he knew that there was some original Jedi temple maybe somewhere in these unknown regions, and he goes to the observatory on Jakku, and he's like, all right, let me plot my point based on these computers. All right, this is probably where this original Jedi temple is. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to fucking yank this part of the map and hide it somewhere. And then I'm going to go. And then that's how Lord Santeca on Jakku has possession of this piece of the map that nobody else knows from uncharted space, as C-3PO says, that matches no known star charts.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
You know what's more interesting right now?
Huh.
Now I have to pee.
All right. We can pause.
Hold those thoughts. Ow, it's starting to hurt.
Yeah, it happens. Hey, Ahsoka, my name is Luke. Fuck you, Luke. I'm Ahsoka. I'm an annoying little bitch. Oh, yeah? Oh, this is my buddy Han Solo. Yeah, fuck you, Ahsoka. I'm gonna shoot you with a... Oh, she's got 2 lightsabers. Oh, shit. Oh, look behind you, Ahsoka. It's fucking Leia. What's really hood, bitch? Bow! Oh, she's fucking dead. Yeah, Luke, Han, and Leia. Yay, we win. We win. Yeah. I'm Darth Vader. He's bigger than us. I don't understand. He's from a different toy set. Oh, well, fuck him. Let's kill him anyway. Oh, fuck. Shit. Oh, God, he killed Han. Oh, fuck. He's so much more powerful than me. Do you know I'm your father? Oh, fuck. All right. Oh, I'm Leia. I'm going to shoot you. Oh, no. Oh, fuck. Oh! I don't give a... Shit! What? I told you never to bother me when I'm playing with my doll. Or, no.
No, I didn't see you playing with your dolls again. God damn it. I could hear you doing it from outside.
Yeah, it wasn't
I'm
very
like,
subtle.
all right, now I'm not. So this is what I'm going to say this, and then he should say that. We'll prep better for that next time.
It'll sound really good on the podcast, though. I guarantee. See, it was Luke, Han, and Leia attacking Ahsoka, and then Darth Vader came in. And
you're taking your revenge out on Ahsoka? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. Took all 3 of them to take her down, though.
I have you now.
She has 2 lightsabers. Anyway, what were we talking about?
You were still...
Observatory.
So, I
feel like the observatory is linked to Luke going to wherever the fuck he's going, and linked to the fact that the missing piece of his map ended up in the hands of Lord Santeca on Jakku. I think that's all kind of linked.
So do you think that obviously the map where they find Luke is not where, well, maybe not obviously. Are you saying he went in there and used the computer to make the same calculations to get to the unknown regions that they went to start basically the First Order?
Sure. It could be in the same general area, because we don't know where the fucking Force started. We don't know where the Jedi originally started. Like Han was saying, Luke was looking for the first Jedi temple. We don't know where that was. And we know that Palpatine talked about like an ancient Force presence calling to him from the unknown regions. Maybe Luke was getting that same kind of a call from that general area.
So then,
because you think about the known galaxy, even though it still consists of tens of thousands of worlds,
right?
It's known. It's the known galaxy.
Right.
If Luke was
you have the core regions, you have the outer rim,
right?
And
so if Luke is going to a place where, as C-3PO said in Force Awakens, doesn't match any known star charts, where else could he fucking be going beyond like the unknown regions? Like, where else could he go where they have this massive map except for one small piece where they don't recognize fucking anything in this map at all?
It's an intriguing theory, because now you assume that, all right, you load up that I'm going to load some of this data into R2, and then R2 ultimately is going to get sent back.
Yeah,
because gets back to the Resistance,
of course.
And then he's like, okay, and I'm going to shut you off. So you're going to have part of the map, and this other, like, I'm going to have somehow interact with Lord Santeca.
Right, because he's got some sort of ties to Leia and Luke and everybody else.
He's basically like a Jedi chaplain.
Yeah, like an old friend, an old family friend or
Right,
something.
whatever. So, okay, here, you take this part of the map.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll out to ostensibly the same place where the eclipse is that Ray Sloan and everyone else are going to, or at least that same region.
Right. It could be, because again, we don't know where the Force originates from, what it originates from.
I am willing to buy into this because that's a great point. Like, why is Jakku so instrumental in all of this?
Yes, and
that's where
yeah.
I can see that.
Because it's like Rey's on Jakku, Lor Santeca with this piece of the map is on Jakku. The Empire fell at Jakku. There's something about Jakku is a fucking crux to all of the shit that's going on.
You know what I just looked at? I looked at the time and I realized that it took us an hour and a half ish to get to some fucking some good shit. This is probably this is the good shit right here.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think you're really onto something there.
It makes sense to me. It's
why like the Jakku connection.
It can't be a coincidence.
Right.
The fact that the piece of the map to Luke was on Jakku, while Rey was still on Jakku,
right.
While Jakku was the place where the Empire fell, and they were making these connections to say this is where the First Order is going to go at a fucking start.
Right.
It has to be connected.
I've assumed the entire time that when Luke was away, like with Ben, and they were starting a new Jedi Order, that they were wherever they were. I don't know that they
Yavin 4 or wherever he decided to establish the new Jedi
Which you would
temple.
think if that's where the well, anyway,
I'm just
wherever that happens. So in the Force Vision, because I've actually watched Force Awakens. I didn't bring it up in my week in Star Wars, but I watched the Force Awakens probably in the past 10 days. I probably watched it 4 times.
Damn.
Yeah, I just put it on randomly. It's good to clear the mind when I'm under stress. I watch Star Wars. So in watching that, I really hyper focus on the scene when Rey touches the lightsaber.
The vision,
she has
yeah.
the vision.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you have Luke or you have Rey, my contention is that she's not necessarily there as herself. She's there as Luke. When Kylo Ren,
she's looking through Luke's eyes.
Right. When Kylo Ren kills whoever that is, and then is standing there and is approaching, and then suddenly the scene switches to where now she's
in the snow
in the woods. You know, obviously she gets that point in a Force Vision. Is that planet is that planet in the unknown regions? Is that the devastation that is the Jedi Academy? Like, where does he establish this Jedi Academy? It's not on this fucking rock that he's sitting on now.
No.
Obviously.
Yeah.
We
have no idea at this point.
Oh, shit. Fuck, I almost fucking forgot. So, not even really a sidebar, because it's a good, no, it's not. It's kind of a sidebar. So, I'm watching The Force Awakens, right? Mm-hmm. And my wife and I are watching it. Mm-hmm. And we stop. I had it on. She came home from work, and I had it on in a big TV. And we're getting to the point in the end, and we're talking about it. And I had said something to her, and it was kind of like a revelation to her, like talking about. She was asking like where the island was. You know, no, it's Ireland or whatever. It's an actual actual structure that's there. It's not a movie set.
Yeah.
And so we're walking by. Like she's walking by, she looks down, and there's like a box. Right, as she gets to a point where she's climbing.
When Rey's walking through,
when she's walking through, and there's like a box, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, there's books there too."
Yeah. She comes across like some sort of like.
Yeah, there's a thing on the ground.
Yeah,
there's like 3 other things in that scene that I have never saw.
Really?
And Kathy's like, "Oh yeah, what about those?" Like, you know, yeah, there's like books there.
Yeah,
like they're not the things on the ground, because there's some sort of what could be a holocron. It may not be. That's kind of on. Like she looks down and sees that
right,
what appears to be a box.
Which
right?
you think that like that's where Luke kind of like hangs out most of the time. That's all his random shit that's like laying
potentially.
around.
But she noticed as she's walking past that there's a fuck. I wish I'd written this shit down. But she's like, oh yeah, they didn't see that part of it. But there's specifically there's fucking books.
Really?
Yeah, it really makes
I
me
never
want
thought
to
about
bring
that.
up this fucking scene. So anyway, it's not directly tied into this, but there's I guess the point of this is the Academy that I tried to start was obviously not on the island,
Right.
you know, and because actually, no, really, we were having a lead-in conversation about how I was telling her how, like, yeah, Ren, when he's going into Rey's mind, sees Luke, you know, because he says, yeah, I see a knight desperate for sleep, which is alluding to Luke. Like, yeah, I see the ocean.
You think it's alluding to him?
Absolutely, it is.
Oh, really?
A knight desperate for sleep?
I assumed it was Rey.
No, absolutely no. Really? Rewatch that scene. Those are two pivotal. Jason's bringing up that part. Well, it's
Keep talking.
so. Yeah, so I'm telling my wife, like, yeah, a knight desperate for sleep, and then it's like, I see, you know, you see the ocean,
Right,
I see
island.
I see the island.
Yeah.
Yep. So he's seeing this.
Yes.
Like we're watching the scene right now. Jason's got it up on his phone. So Rey already has this force vision, right? Either through Luke or however she gets it, but she's already had a vision of this island, and now Ren has seen it too.
Right.
He's seeing the same vision.
Yeah.
But now now you're obviously not going to locate based on that. He didn't see the map. He just sees basically that what's happening.
Right. Sees
trying
her.
to see.
It hasn't happened yet. Just give it.
She's still walking up.
Yeah, give it a couple more
Walking.
seconds. Yeah.
There's.
I have The Force Awakens on my iPhone.
So do I.
Okay. So, books on the ground right there as she walks up to that little settlement. So you kind of assume that this is the spot where Luke's just like chilling during the day.
Right.
You see a book on the ground and some other stuff.
It's like, well, hang on.
It's hard to see it on my phone, even though it is an iPhone 6 Plus, big screen. I like them big.
All right, let me play this a little bit. I'm going into your pictures. This could be scary. All right, so, fuck, it's not as clear as I would hope it'd be. But look, see, there's like a mechanical structure up here.
Yeah.
That's obviously not part of, you know,
Oh, yeah.
what is that? Exactly.
That's fucking weird.
And you have
I didn't even notice that
these
before.
things. You have these things down here.
Those look like books.
Yeah.
Or that
And
box
then-
right there. And
You got the box. So yeah, there's fuck. Like she pointed out, plain as day too, and I'm like, how the fuck have I not seen that as many times as I've seen that scene?
yeah, we need to just pull it up on the big TV here. in a
Yeah,
minute.
indeed. But anyway, I think we're
We're getting way off topic.
yeah,
here,
it's kind of a big sidebar. But as if we're making these connections, because shit, Rey's on Jakku, that everything. If we're springboarding off of Jakku for fucking everything that's going on, I'm really curious now. It's like, okay, if Luke if he used this ancient computer,
which they had to have known it was there at this point. Like the
Yeah.
Republic had to have known because Nora was in there. Nora went in there with Rey.
right?
And Rey Sloane. Rey and Rax had their fight. Nora escaped. You think Nora's not going to fucking tell the Republic, like, hey, saw this little room, big map, Sith artifacts, you know,
Right.
lots of shit going on in there. You think the Republic's not going to fucking send somebody in to find out what the hell this is?
Or tell Luke, hey, since you're out floating about, why don't you go and check this thing out?
Yeah, exactly.
No, man.
It's so many. It can't be a coincidence that so much of this shit goes down on Jakku. Between the end of the Empire, like all the fucking ships there. Rey, we don't even know what Rey's origin is, but like we know
Ray, not Ray Sloan.
Rey. No, but and then think about this too. Think about if Luke was on Jakku. Let's say that this theory is true, and Luke went to Jakku to look at this map and plot his course and whatnot. That means Luke was on the same planet as fucking Rey. Can we extrapolate something from that? Is there some sort of link between Luke and Rey? Is Rey Luke's daughter?
Well, I've been saying that since the beginning. Although things have come out more recently that would make me question that. But she's in my mind, she's definitely a Skywalker. I just don't know how.
I have a theory. I don't know if you want to hear it, but you know how Palpatine told Anakin that Darth Plagueis could use the midi-chlorians to create life? Mm-hmm. Maybe Luke was fucking around on Jakku thinking like, oh, I heard the story that you can create life. I'll kind of fuck around. Oh, shit. Fuck. All right, I'm out.
Well, then what's I mean, she's 6 years old ostensibly when she's fucking left there.
Yeah.
So, like, what? So she's just chilling? Like, hanging out with Luke until she's 6?
No, what I'm saying is, like, Luke's on Jakku looking at the map. You know, maybe doing some meditating in between while the map's calculating and stuff. He's like, oh, I wonder if I could influence the midi-chlorians. And then he, like, focuses on some broad.
The fact that you said midi-chlorians this many times in the fucking podcast
like
is almost disturbing.
He focuses on some broad that's at Nema Outpost. He's like, I wonder if I could get her pregnant. Oh, fuck.
Whoops.
All right, I gotta go.
It still wouldn't make sense to have the entire, like, scene of her being left on Jakku.
Well, then it's her mom. Her mom's like, fuck, I didn't want this kid. Hey, dude, can I leave her with you for a second? Oh, I'm out.
That's way too much reality. that's we're not talking about. You know what? Never mind.
All right, we're okay. So let's.
I look. I am with you. I'm willing to explore as much as possible the fact that the observatory having that connection with Lord Santeca, with Jakku, just in general, and Luke potentially, like, if I'm going to go disappear, like maybe we're thinking maybe the timeline is post fucking the Knights of Ren, fucking everything up, and then he's like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
What can I do? I know this place is on Jakku. I'm going to dump this girl, potentially my daughter, because Kylo Ren has killed the mother. So now I can dump her on Jakku. I'm going to go to the fucking computer. I'm going to plot my way into fucking space. But I'm going to leave R2 behind with part of the map and then hand the other part of the map to this guy. And then if I need to, I can make all these things connect later. Maybe he sees that in the Force.
Yeah.
There's a convenient timeline there.
It is, but, I mean, it could make sense. You know, goes.
The only thing that bothers me about that is Maz Kanata's her diatribe in the hallway when she says that the people you seek
they're not
coming back, but there is somebody that can, and then Luke. It almost like alludes to the fact that her expectation is that her parents would be coming back to Jakku,
right?
But and Maz Kanata saying, "Well, all right, your parents aren't coming back, but Luke could."
Yeah.
So what's that make him?
Not her parents.
Right, absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
that's what you were supposed to say.
Oh, sorry.
Uncle's brother's third cousin's
it's Monday.
Former roommate.
Yeah, I see where you're going now, but it's way too late. Okay, so yeah, that's Empire's End in a very big nutshell.
Yeah, if you want to, we did not hit a lot of stuff.
No, a lot of details.
There's a lot of detail work in there. Like the whole how the HoloNet has an influence. Like there's almost some real time like social media type aspect to the way the HoloNet's working to kind of create this environment where like you see like, oh, these things are going on Coruscant. Like Coruscant's kind of left behind. They leave the Emperor's like right hand guy. What the fuck's his name?
Oh fuck! Shit! I had it on the tip of my tongue, and I can't. The blue face guy with the big ass horns.
He's got the horns going up, horns going down. Like he's basically a figurehead that the Empire's left behind on Coruscant.
Yeah,
he has no real power, and then he gets manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, this dude was pathetic. Like, there were people there to make sure that he didn't jump out of a fucking window and kill himself.
Yeah,
I mean, basically
because he wanted to. Yeah,
and then he was manipulated by the kid. I keep calling them the kids, but the fucking acolytes of the Beyond. They came in, and there's some working out between those two things. So. All that stuff is still in the books, and it really makes it interesting to see like what happened, in that timeline. Like what's going on in the galaxy? Like there's still unrest, there's still things happening, there's statues coming down. We talked about that in the first book. the allusions to the Saddam Hussein statue being pulled down, or any any war where there's been some major figure like that. And then fast forward all the way till we get to the part Empire's End, and really the payoff is, like Jason said, from the observatory, the fight between Rey and Rax, and then now Rey's the one that gets into the fucking starship and goes off to basically what the Emperor has sitting out in the middle of nowhere, waiting for these people to show up.
Yeah.
And so we have Hux, right? Where's Phasma in the timeline in this?
Well, at this point, they haven't come across Phasma.
Right.
Because that's why I feel like if you're going to read these books, you need to read Aftermath and then Phasma.
Bring up Phasma on that.
The
novel?
novel?
I want to see the timeline. Because it's interesting, because Brendel Hux is the guy who they drag him along to basically create the academy that's going to create the stormtroopers for the First Order, right? So when you read Phasma, and again, listen to episode 2021,
Sure.
for our review of Phasma. But the big takeaway is, let's see, we've got,
and
Phasma's
according to them, Phasma is right after
is after
Aftermath.
Bloodline.
Oh, it's after Bloodline?
Yeah, that's what it says. After
Now,
Bloodline.
me personally, I think they should read Phasma right after Aftermath.
Probably because it's good. You have Brendel Hux, who's
Yes.
has prevalence in the Aftermath series,
Right, because
and he's
none of these Empire people show up in Bloodline.
so it makes me believe that there's a couple things we have to take from this before we get to Bloodline. We haven't even got there. It's almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
The big takeaway is that contingency plan, like Emperor had this fucking staged all along.
Yep.
He posted up some fucking ships in the Outer Rim. There's technology and everything that's already out there, ostensibly with a leader.
Yep.
In Snoke.
Well, we don't know if he specifically had Snoke in mind.
Somebody is out there,
But he knew there was a dark presence.
Somebody's out there already.
Yeah.
So whether he actually communicated with him or whatever, if we ever know that, I don't know. I can't even see them getting to that point in The Last Jedi, to be honest with you.
Probably not.
I don't know that we get that explained in the movie.
Yeah.
But the Snoke origin, I think, is going to be something that we're going to have to get to through a novel, honestly. I don't know that they'll actually get there in the movie. I think they're just going to be like, hey, this is a bad guy.
Yeah.
Bad guys show up, I'd be thrilled if they fucking bring the origin into it. But
well, you think about it. Think about the Emperor in the context of the original trilogy. We didn't really know much about him. We didn't know much about his origins or anything.
If it wasn't for the prequels, you'd have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I mean, they started touching on him in the expanded universe before the prequels were made, but that was it.
Yeah, it's... So, anyway, so we know that there's... All right, we're going to ship these. We need Brendel Hux out there to fucking start the Stormtrooper Academy.
Yep.
For lack of a better term. And then you have Armitage that goes out there. Somehow fucking Kylo Ren gets out there.
Well, I think Kylo Ren comes into the fold more after they come back into the known galaxy.
You think? Well,
think about this. Okay, well, Bloodline takes place 6 years before Force Awakens.
Okay.
In Bloodline, Ben was still good.
Right.
And we were starting to get like little hints at the First Order, like this potential Empire remnant coming
But that's the
back.
thing. So it's a good segue into Bloodline. Is the First Order, we know that there's instability in this New Republic.
Yo, jeez. Yeah.
So, and it's the basis of the whole book. But is it the instability being caused by a contingency? The First Order itself? Because at this point, what I see is this is why Phasma comes after Bloodline, because they're still fucking picking kids off of planets in the Outer Rim.
Right.
To fucking make them into stormtroopers for the First Order.
Now, chronologically, when they first come across Phasma, that was before Bloodline. When they first go to Parnassus, that is before the events of Bloodline. But when fucking Phasma and the Cardinal have their little clash, that's after Bloodline.
Right, because remember that Cardinal captured the Resistance spy, and the Resistance spy is giving all this information.
Yes.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is the unrest that we have in Bloodline, you know, it really it's all internal to what they're trying to do, and basically in Mon Mothma being like, hey, we're not going to have a fucking military.
Right, and that was more alluded to in Aftermath. She was like, before the Empire was even defeated at Jakku, she's like, we need to start talking about demilitarizing the Republic.
Right.
And that's where I got pissed. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
All right. And it continues in Bloodline.
Right.
When, okay, we need to have leadership here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they want to put Leia in the forefront of that. She's a war hero. You know, she obviously had, you know, been a huge part of the reason why the Empire had folded, yada yada yada. And the centrists or the other party, right?
Right, they're the populists and the centrists. I think hold on, I think I wrote it down.
You did. It's in
the populists is who Leia's side was on, and they believed more in individual planets retaining full sovereignty, whereas the centrists, they were more about a centralized government, like everybody kind of like coming together under one central government that had one central ruler, much like the old Republic style.
Right.
But the populists rejected that because they saw what happened.
And even I can't remember if Leia didn't buy fully into the party.
No, yeah, she was not like hardcore populist. She tried to be more center as much as possible.
Yeah, she wasn't into demilitarization because she knew what that would bring.
Right, because she knew that the Empire remnant was out there somewhere. She kind of always knew that like they couldn't drop their guard, because if they did,
right,
then these fuckers would roll in. And
right. Han's still out there, like, you know, at this point, Ben has already been born. Mm-hmm. He's out fucking around with Luke, and Han's out doing things.
Yeah,
right. They're talking on over to Holonet. You know, Han's out there doing his thing, and really not. He's just out doing his own thing. It's very strange.
Well, he's antsy. He's like he's not acclimating to being a domesticated husband very well. You know, he's Han Solo. He's the fucking smuggler who just wants to be out and about and hopping the galaxy and doing whatever.
All right, so he's out doing his thing. Anyway, I forget where we're going with that.
So,
honestly.
yeah, I mean, basically the whole basis of Bloodline is the fact that the New Republic is kind of fucked. The guy or the girl who wrote this book really paints the picture of you can't. It's so hard to fucking manage a galactic-wide government because there's so much bureaucratic red tape and all this other bullshit involved with it, and it really. You get these two opposing political parties like butting heads against each other, and it just shows how hard it is to run government.
Yeah, and especially like when you're coming into it with somebody like Mon Mothma, who even we see it in Rogue One, who even though she was like the Senate representative in Rogue One, and still could not get people to agree.
Right.
She couldn't make, you know. What's the fuck is the word I'm looking for? She couldn't make compromise.
Right.
Like it was like she just wasn't good at it. Like it's like, oh, okay, well, no, we can't agree on anything, so I guess we're not gonna do anything.
Yeah, and then like these fucking group of guys, they're like, all right, fuck it, we're just gonna go fight anyway.
Yeah, the Mon Calamari are gonna go off and they're gonna fucking go support. What's going on? They're gonna go and fight, and so you see her as while she's not necessarily, she's weak as a leader because people know that like, okay, she demilitarization and this line of thinking is only going to lead us towards like we're going to be able to take over at some point, whether you're part of the party, whether you mean well or not. Right. And so what happens is Leia, there's I forget her name and we didn't put it in the notes, but so big part of Bloodline is basically Leia's origins as being Darth Vader's daughter are revealed. Yes. And it comes through this, she's a she's a queen.
Yeah,
or she's a princess.
She's kind of related to Alderaan. She's like kind of like a distant
Right.
relation to Alderaan, where if like Leia wasn't who she was, then this broad would have been like the leader of the Alderaan remnants kind of thing.
Right. And she always, like, her thing was, like, look, you're a princess. Like, you should be in your rightful place as ruler of people.
Right.
You know, of these particular people. Not necessarily the whole fucking republic, but
Yeah.
This woman was very, like, about, like, the pomp and circumstance of being royalty. And so she's compromised with information, and she's being fed information by... I think it's from the centrist. It's been so long.
Yeah,
since
basically,
I read this book.
Yeah, she comes across this information, a message from Bail Organa to Leia, which talks about, hey,
Oh, it's in the fucking it's in the I remember. It's in the fucking thing.
like
It's like a
a music box.
It's like a music box.
Yeah.
And it has this, like, basically these are the secrets of like who you really are.
Yep.
And she somehow gets this.
Yep.
She should have never have had it in the first place.
Well,
This is Leia's property. And
yeah, she somehow gives it to the centrists, and they broadcast that,
Yeah, all
hey,
over the holonet.
Leia's
guess
Vader's
what?
daughter.
The fucking, this person who's saved the galaxy, guess what? She's fucking Vader's daughter.
Yeah.
And so that, it brings Leia down a peg, but it doesn't keep her from going to, she's still... It's like, okay, she wanted to step out of the limelight to begin with. Mm-hmm. She was kind of being forced into it. But like, hey, we need a leader here, so she was like unwillingly doing it. Now it's just like, oh well, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah,
and she has to struggle with her own, the own aspect of like everybody knowing now that she's fucking Darth Vader's daughter. Mm-hmm. So we're not doing it justice. You really have to read the book to kind of pick up the nuance of like what they're getting into with, her being, Vader's daughter, and how interesting it is. Like, hey, here's this little piece of information. It's politics in present day,
right?
Like,
And there's so many allusions to current day politics in this book too.
It's just amazing. Well, current day, it was written fucking
year and a half ago.
Yeah, so. It's how the media and everything was portrayed, and how all this stuff got out, and how she was villainized because she was hiding this fact.
Yeah.
They had just put up like I remember a scene out of the book. It's just coming to me. The statue of Bail Organa.
Yep.
That they had put up, and
I think that's how the book started.
Yeah, it starts with the whole thing, and then this other woman who realized, well, she's not actual like royalty.
Yeah,
she's not part of this bloodline. Yep. So there's all kinds of side stories and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of political struggle.
Yeah.
And then there's the Ransom Casterfo, who's the centrist, the main centrist guy, who's Leia's political rival, but they actually work together a lot. And the cool thing about him is he's the guy that was the collector of the Imperial artifacts. Like he had like fucking stormtrooper helmets, I think like TIE fighter or TIE pilot helmets, like all kinds of Empire artifacts. Like again, going back to the fucking like the Nazi fucking collectors.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it
was that same kind of thing.
And when she'd be in the room with that, she couldn't like
because
something that she couldn't really deal with him like on this level. Like, you're going to surround yourself with this shit. You're going to try and talk to me like, like we're equals, or that we're God, fucking words are eluding me today.
It's Monday. It's
more than usual.
Yeah.
Or as peers. We're going to talk to each other as peers, but we're surrounded by everything that I fucking have hated my entire life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's making me second guess myself, but I'm gonna say it out loud anyway, and then you can correct me.
Sure.
So we know that obviously Leia doesn't become the fucking ruler of the New Republic.
Right. The what I think they call it the first senator was what they were voting for. So
the winner, and this is the Ransom Casterfaro, whatever.
Yeah.
Is he the guy that they show in Force Awakens when the fucking when the planet's blowing up?
Well,
is it him or
I'm not sure, honestly. I just know the one chick, the black chick that we see right before the planet blows up. She is somebody that Leia sent.
right? She was
to talk to the Republic.
yeah, she was basically the aide that was the that would basically be the liaison between
Right.
the Republic and the Resistance.
Yeah. Like she was sent by Leia, but I don't know if that Castrofo was on there or not. Probably.
So I in my head I had it that like when you see that scene in Force Awakens where Hosnian Prime is being blown up.
Yeah, it's very brief. You don't really get to see a whole lot.
And they say that there's like in the original script that there was a lot more to what was going on Hosnian Prime, and Leia's representative was there, for that. But as you see, like this is the beginning of the Resistance and Bloodline, because Leia, obviously she's not the leader, but she knows that this demilitarization that is what they are continuing. This is what they're continuing with. They're like, no, we want to demilitarize, and this whole pacifist mentality.
Yep.
Where Leia's like, this shit's not going to work, so I'm going to step back and make and start putting pieces together so as our fucking kind of plan B. And she starts doing this basically on her own.
Yeah. She like grabs Akbar.
Yep.
Like Akbar is one of her first people. Wedge.
Yep.
Wedge is one of the first people she grabs, and they start forming what is then the Resistance, and that's kind of how Bloodline ends, is with the formation of the Resistance.
So, and what's interesting to me, and I can't, again, I should have ideally we would have reread the book, because both of us we read Bloodline when it first came out.
Yeah, which was like last summer, right? Or last spring, something like that.
Oh, it was before you left the unit.
Fuck, has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been that long.
Holy shit. Okay.
So it's been a while
Yeah.
since we read the book. So we're probably damaging it.
Yeah. Well, and again, there are so many details in here that we haven't talked about, and so many good things that are worth reading. If you haven't read it, for fuck's sake, go read it. And if there's something that we haven't touched on that you think that we should, hit us up on Instagram and tell us, hey, you should talk about this, and this from Bloodline and Aftermath.
Yeah, anything we didn't cover, because I'm pretty sure, because it wasn't like the Ransom Castrofo. He's not the guy. He didn't get voted in. It was
I thought he was the.
No, it was the alien. It's the alien that's standing next to Homegirl is the first senator.
Okay.
When the ship
When
blows
Hosnian
up.
Prime blows up.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's that guy.
Okay.
'Cause I'm pretty sure at the end of Bloodline, it's like, okay, it's not going to be you because you were a part of this whole fucking conspiracy.
Oh,
So it's going to be
right.
this other guy who was, a pacifist who Leia didn't agree with, but it was kind of the lesser of two evils thing. So it was like, yeah, okay, you go, and you're not, like, I remember there was a scene with her and him, the alien, fuck. I don't even know where to begin.
Begin with research.
See,
But it's too late for that.
It is indeed too late for that. This is what makes the Sofa King guys so good.
It's like they do detailed
research into this, so that like we're kind of like we're talking about stuff, and then like ideas are coming to us. Where if we like had a pre-show meeting and we could bounce these ideas off each other. What's interesting about how we do our stuff, and this is a sidebar, an hour or two, but how we do our stuff is that we like surprise each other deliberately with like pieces of information.
It's like,
well, I'm not going to talk about this. I'm going to wait till the podcast to talk about it, and then it starts a conversation that we don't have the research to back up. So, apologies to all the listening audience out there.
And of course, this week of all weeks, just because of everything else that's going on.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week.
We were less prepared than before. So, I mean, ultimately, Bloodline ends with the forming of the Resistance, whereas Aftermath ended with the formation of the First Order, essentially. The beginnings of the First Order.
yeah, the beginnings of what we know are the First Order. But here's the disappointing parts about Aftermath, right? The entire book series. Mm-hmm. It doesn't tell us who fucking Snoke is.
Nope.
We get an idea of like, okay, how the stormtroopers come about, grabbing kids and them training kids and shit like that. So we get the stormtrooper bit. Mm-hmm. All right, so we get that. That's the big payoff,
right?
But we have no idea there's no vector for it afterwards. There's fucking Rey Sloane, who we have not seen in Force Awakens.
No, but we mentioned when we talked about Phasma that she's still part of the First Order.
Yeah, she's mentioned in there. Mm-hmm. So, but where is she? What is she fucking doing? Who is she out fucking doing other missions while General Hux is fucking has his missions? Where's the Admiralty? Where's the Imperial Navy or the First Order Navy at this point? What's Sloane doing?
Right, that's a good question, and I'm hoping we get to see her in the movies. I would love it if we saw her in one of the next movies.
Because I will tell you this, like, I don't believe Snoke to be human, and I think that's what they've already alluded to. Mm-hmm. I think it's out there already. It's like, no, he's a humanoid. He's not a human.
Right.
There was some fucking thing they showed. I saw there was a GIF out there that had Snoke as I forget, but it was basically Snoke as some prominent character who got killed earlier. He's fucking come back and he's all pissed off. It's not
there's theories, all kinds of theories. It's like some people say he's Mace Windu. Some people say he's Anakin. He's Anakin Skywalker. Like people are throwing like all kinds of theories about him.
The clone, like the clone stuff is thrown out there a lot. That is, like I said, I don't think we're gonna get to the Snoke origin, but and there's one thing we don't get. You hope I know I was hoping at the end of Aftermath that I'd have some idea who fucking Snoke was.
Right.
None. No payoff at all for that.
Yeah, and I think if you go into it with those kind of expectations, you are going to be disappointed. Yeah. But if you just go into it thinking this is just going to be another Star Wars story that maybe will give us a little bit of information, I think it's a good story.
It's good stories. They're fucking well written. They're good books, and Bloodline is as well. It's definitely a different pace than Aftermath for sure. But it's like you said, like you kind of look forward to it as one of your favorites because of that political aspect of like this is how it can go wrong at the top, and with the media and everything else, it has all this relevancy to how we see things present day. Yeah. It's interesting. From a action perspective, it's going to leave you wanting, but
sure. I mean, there are a couple of action beats in it, but it's definitely more of a story than an adventure. So, okay, real quick before we close this out, one thing that we didn't mention. I know we kind of blew off a lot of the interludes. There was one interlude.
Okay.
That we didn't talk about. The Jar Jar interlude in Empire's End. Do you remember that at all? Oh. Where he's like fucking like he's kind of exiled to work with these kids in a fucking orphanage because they're like all these refugee kids who have been like fucking orphaned due to all of the turmoil in the galaxy, and he's just kind of like people thought he was like an Empire sympathizer, or he like worked with the Empire to help prop Palpatine up. Dude. So he got like fucking super ostracized from fucking all civilization.
Dude, I fucking forgot totally about that.
I've just found it funny because he was like,
that's the guy. That's the Chancellor.
Oh, gotcha.
That guy. He's the one who's standing next to the broad.
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought, excuse me. Yeah, the whole Jar Jar interlude was funny just because he'd been like just fucking treated just like shit because everybody thought he was, part of Palpatine's plot to get him put in charge and all that. So by this time, after the Battle of Endor, he's just like fucking kicked to the curb and everybody treats him like shit, and it was just kind of funny. It was almost like a tragic story about him. But he's still just like there to just like be his goofy self and entertain these orphan kids. It was
dude, I totally brain dumped that entire because like you said, there was parts of those interludes that like since they had no real bearing on the story at all, I just kind of like didn't zero fucks were given,
Right.
And especially for a Jar Jar one, I would have flushed that fairly quickly.
It was interesting because I'm Jar Jar being who he is. Fuck you, George Lucas. But it was. If this is the last time we see his character in canon, it's a very
He's always gonna fucking
unique way to end his run in Star Wars. So, all right, I think we've talked long enough. It's been kind of fairly incoherent here at the end, but yeah, that's those 3 books. Read them all. I definitely think you should. I am still a huge proponent of reading the Aftermath trilogy, then Phasma, then Bloodline. I think that is the proper reading order. Fuck what the timeline says.
Well, I don't disagree with you. I don't, because reading Phasma doesn't do anything towards Bloodline,
Right?
Or vice versa.
Yeah, they're completely independent.
You're better off, if for nothing else, there's like continuity of characters with Brendel Hux.
Right.
You see what it makes you wonder. Okay, from time he's obviously someone who's capable, and they've gotten to a point in the First Order where they've made armor because they got the First Order stormtroopers are with Brendel Hux when they get to Parnassus.
Yep.
To find Phasma. So things wherever they go, you got Brendel Hux, who's basically a whining bitch, leaving Jakku.
Yeah.
So they get to a point where it's like, okay, he's empowered and he's actually getting this army together and he's searching the galaxy for for resources, children, to become First Order stormtroopers. So I agree with you. I think if you go through the Aftermath series and then read Phasma, yeah, you can't go wrong there.
Yep.
As far as the Thrawn connection, with what happens with
the observatory,
I think read Thrawn because you want to read Thrawn, not because you're trying that the connection you seek is. Fuck! I lost it. I was trying to make the Maz Kanata. She has a line in Force Awakens.
It's like the path you seek is not behind, but ahead or something.
Yeah, some
like that.
shit like that. It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's Monday.
But yeah, also yes. But yeah, that's the order. Fucking read the books. You get the opportunity. Like fucking, there's a lot of books. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming that you're reading into some of this stuff too, whether it's the novels or the comics or whatever, because you're probably a big enough Star Wars fan where you want to do that. If you want us to break down those books in their entirety, which I think is what kind of Bob wanted to do. If we gotten Bob on here, probably a little bit more coherent.
Well, it probably would have had to be 3 episodes too. We could have just done it all in one episode.
Like I said, we kind of hit the highlights and what we're gonna get into this stuff again because there's gonna be a fucking trailer.
Maybe
Jason and I contend.
Oh yeah, that's supposed to be a week from today, right?
Yes, it is. It is Monday night. There's football being played at some point. So our contention is that there's going to be a fucking trailer on Monday Night Football
on the
this
9th.
time next week.
Yeah.
So if that happens, we're going to produce some content.
Yeah.
For that, it'll probably be a breakdown. Potentially real time.
I mean, honestly, what I think it should be is if they actually do this and they give us a little bit of warning, like a few days warning, like, hey, next Monday.
They aren't doing shit. We're going to have to get together. We're going to have to sit here poised and ready for fucking at halftime or whenever. Because I'm trying to remember. I think it was halftime the last time.
It was, yeah.
So we're sit fucking whatever bullshit fucking game is on because I know it's not the Eagles, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then we'll just have to watch fucking halftime. And if there's no fucking trailer, there's no fucking trailer.
Right. But I mean, last time for Force Awakens, they told us like weeks in advance. This game, Monday Night Football at halftime, you're going to see the next trailer.
These bitches ain't giving up any information at all. And it's fucking annoying.
Yeah. Fuck you, Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
But
as if he has any control over that.
Right. What I would like to do is I would like to do a twofold thing. First, I would like to get video of us actually watching the trailer for the first time, a reaction video, so to speak. And then we record a mini episode afterwards talking about our thoughts and what we saw in the trailer.
I think it's entirely plausible.
I think that would be the way to go.
I think we know what we're going to be doing on Monday night. So if you're listening to this podcast on Thursday when it's released or late on Wednesday, if you're real diehard, be prepared. Be prepared. We feel it in the force that Monday night that there's going to be a fucking trailer.
Yes.
And if there is, we're going to be Johnny on the spots with fucking reactions and everything else. And hopefully there'll be something to talk about.
I sure hope so.
If it's some bullshit, we're fucking like, oh, here, look, here's a black and white of this and doing that, some fucking cheeky thing. Fuck you. I'm going to be so pissed. I'd rather there not be any trailer than to fucking do what they did the last time with that fucking like behind the scenes thing.
Oh yeah, no, that was dumb.
That annoyed me.
Well, I try to think of it in the context of Force Awakens. Think about what they did with Force Awakens. We had our couple of teasers leading up to that. Then we had our good trailer on the Monday Night Football. That was the one where we heard everybody talk for the first time. We heard Rey's dialogue for the first time. We heard fucking Kylo Ren's dialogue for the first time.
I don't know. The teaser trailer, the short teaser that came out for Force Awakens was probably one of the best ones I've ever seen. Where you have the initial, with Rey's speeder going across
with the Star Destroyer
in the back. Holy fuck!
That was great.
If that didn't make you hard, then fucking you have no business watching Star Wars at all.
That is true.
I mean that right there was like, oh my god, like this is the impact I'm expecting. Yeah. I want. So far, I've been disappointed in what they produced up until the point with Last Jedi. So I'm truly disappointed. So I have high expectations for a fucking trailer.
The only hope is that the reason that they're not showing us much is because anything they show us would be like a huge spoiler. So they're trying to keep it, back as much as possible.
I don't.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens next week.
We will be prepared for any contingency as far as a trailer may or may not go.
Yeah,
but we're anticipating it
anyway. Hopefully this episode made sense. It was kind of a mishmash of all kinds of random shit, but
it's the books, and we had some revelations. Well, I think Jason should put something in the beginning that says, "Hey, go to 1 hour and 25 minutes," and
when we start talking about the observatory,
it started the observatory and the shit that's actually fucking some revelation.
Yeah.
Social media. All things Star. Why do I fucking even look at this thing? God, I'm such an idiot.
It's good. It's a mainstay. It's been with us since episode 1.
It has to. We should fucking frame it.
Yeah.
All Things Star Wars Pod on Instagram. You got All Things SW Pod on Twitter. You got All Things Star Wars Pod at Gmail. Find us on Facebook at All Things Star Wars Pod. Facebook.com/All Things Star Wars Pod.
Yes.
And you can find myself on Instagram and Twitter and all Xbox One and all that shit, because hopefully we're going to be playing the beta, for...
Oh, there's no hopefully about it. It's happening in 2 days.
Hey, look, anything can happen.
Yeah.
So I'm a creature of hope.
Yeah.
So rebellions are built on hope. There you go, Bill Porter. That's I gave you a fucking Rogue One reference. You can find me at Philly Dave across all those medias.
Philly Dave 75.
Philly Dave 75.
Yes,
like I said.
Instagram, Twitter, Xbox, and Facebook,
all of it.
I wonder if we should try to have like a full squad for Battlefront 2, like 4 people. Who
else are we gonna let in on this?
I don't know. That's a question. Do we have any listeners that are really good Battlefront players?
I don't know. Do I really want to be embarrassed? I'm gonna be hiding behind pillars and shit while everyone else is out there raking up fucking points, and I'm gonna be strategically moving around the board trying not to get killed.
Well, Battlefront 2 is gonna be a little bit different because there are different combat roles. So you could be like a support person. You could be back there, kind of like buffing everybody else, healing people. You
see, you would think that the way I play the game that would be good for me, but it's boring, so I won't do that.
But that's what you do anyway. You just kind of hang back, just like peek around the corner every once in a while.
Hey, I get my 10 to 12 kills a fucking a game. You can kiss my ass.
You weren't getting 10 to 12 kills when we were playing.
I did a couple times. I got a shit ton of assists because somebody was fucking. I think, quite frankly, that you're just one of those people that just goes and takes people's kills. That's what I think.
Wow. Well, what I do is, if I see somebody on the opposite team, I do everything I fucking can to kill that motherfucker. I don't care who damaged him first. I want them dead.
Oh, and here's another. We have to dedicate like some episode time to handles that we've seen on Xbox.
Oh god, there's been some great ones.
Fucking Yoda farts.
Yeah, Yoda's farts 81. That motherfucker. God damn it.
What was the other one?
For 2 nights in a row, he was terrorizing me.
There's the fucking, what was it? Poop.
Oh yeah, Mr. Poop.
Mr. Poop.
Yeah.
We were fucking playing the other day, and Mr. Poop was fucking tearing us up. Mm-hmm. Tearing us up.
So yeah, every time we killed him, though, it was like, fuck yeah, fuck you, you piece of
Mr.
shit.
Poop.
Yeah.
And I think my wife walked by with a, is he really beating the shit out of you? I'm like,
oh yeah. Oh, she was like trolling us hard too
yeah,
that day.
You know what? You have something to do.
Yeah. Dave's wife was really good at busting our balls, apparently.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. So, I see you still have a little bit of a Death Star.
I
ice
do.
cube.
Look
That's
at that.
fucking great.
Fucking round enough. We can go fucking
2 hours later, and it's still in there. It's fucking awesome. All right. Anyway, so yeah, hit us up on social media. Bitch at us about what we missed from any of these books that you want to hear about still, and maybe we'll do a retcon episode. And
you gotta put something in the glass. No, I mean like fluid wise.
Oh. What?
My daughter brought this up, and it's a good point. And it seems like a very Irish, it's bad luck to toast on an empty glass.
Fuck. Well, I'm out of beer, so I guess I'll
there
take
you
some of
go.
your Diet Coke.
There you go.
This is so.
We have video audience. Like we can't fake it. Like I think we've cheers before with fucking. I don't know.
I've always had something in my glass.
You've always had something. I think I've used like a fucking controller at one point, or the side of my iPad or some shit. So
It's always humorous.
anyway,
Anyway, Dave, may the force be with you.
may the force be with you.
Colt 45, it's a dynamite taste, it's a grin, it's a groove, it's a blast. Colt 45, it's a dynamite taste, it's a win, it's a definite blast. Colt 45,